things like these go on.
True.
Okay, we have to watch we have to censor ourselves now. We're being recorded.
I'm
not here to censor anybody.
Oh, I thought it was being recorded, but it's just live
It
stream.
is. It just started being recorded right now.
Oh.
I have to compliment you on your Krishna blue background there. It's brilliant. I don't know how you get it. How do you get that beautiful background?
You
It
go
must
to
be all the Krishna that's emanating from you.
that's my effulgence. You're supposed to see my effulgence, my glow. You can put any background you want. You do it in settings.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
Settings in Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for informing me.
Yeah, you can put any kind of far out picture you get, whatever.
So I could have one of Vrindavan behind me.
Yeah, you could do that. Let me see if I can switch while we're here without getting disconnected, and I'll change my background.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Nandapatni, Prabhu.
Long time no see.
What do you think about, I don't want to hijack the whole discussion, but what do you think about calling our god sisters Prabhu, or do you think it's an individual thing, depending on who the god sister is or lady, Vaishnavi?
Who are you asking? Me?
I'm asking dear Nandapatni, our god sister.
Well, I grew up with that. So, I mean, I do get a few weird looks when I call young women Prabhu or Prabhuji, but...
Did you grow up with men calling you Prabhu?
Can't remember that, but as the women, we called each other that. And of course, we were offering obeisances to each other.
Sure.
Non-stop,
Although I could see amongst god sisters, they would call each other Prabhu.
I think we ought to forego the Sanskrit and just use the English term. And that way we be reminded, because we use this word Prabhu many times as an admonishment, right?
Prabhu.
Really?
Yeah.
Which is entirely off point.
Sort of snarky.
Master.
Yeah. Prabhu.
Well, this is so cool. You're in the Jamuna River right now with Krishna fighting it out with Kaliya. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's one of my favorite backgrounds.
I love it. I love it.
Wonderful.
Yes. A lot of people are feeling quite constricted these days. I can relate to it. Dhaesvara Prabhu, would you care to do the opening ceremonies here of chanting the Krishna book song? Would you like to do that?
Krishna, 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 hey.
Yeah, that one. Here, let me find the lyrics.
Which
here.
one were you talking about? That's the one at the beginning of the book.
Love it. Yes. A lot of people are feeling quite constricted. Sorry, getting some background feedback there. Yeah. No, okay, there you go.
Isn't that the one?
Yeah, I got it right now on the screen. So, and here we go. The Krishna book song. Okay. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Hit it.
Krishna, 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 hey. Response?
Krishna. As you like, if you want us to respond. It's a little.
I don't know.
It's a little messed
I'm a new
up.
guy here. How do you do it?
If we try to all respond at the same time, actually, it sounds pretty messed up. So
Okay.
better you do
it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do it. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama, Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna, Keshava, Krishna, Keshava, Krishna, Keshava, Pahimam.
Thank you very much. Would you mind reading the translation, please?
O Lord Krishna, please protect me and maintain me. O Lord Rama, O descendant of Raghu, please protect. Can't see behind the people.
Well, you have to type. You have to hit the little. You have to go up to the top right corner and
Okay.
just click.
O Lord Rama, descendant of King Raghu, please protect me. O Krishna, O Keshava, O killer of the Keshi demon, please maintain me.
Thank you very much. As we were remembering previous reading, Lord Chaitanya used to chant this while he was doing his padayatra around India.
Yeah.
Okay, here we are. All right, the Gopis' feelings of separation. So I've calculated there's 16 paragraphs for this chapter, and then we've been missing out on reading Nectar of Instruction because we've had quite a few elaborations on these pastimes. So maybe we can finish off with the first verse tonight after we finish reading this. And I'm humbly suggesting that please keep note if there's some highlight in, if there's anything that jumps out for you while we're reading, then please make a note of that so that we can come back to it after we've read, and then we can, share, wow, I really like this part, or reflections or questions like that. Is that okay with everyone?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I'm just going to get my notebook handy here so I can keep track.
Can I ask somebody a very, very quick tech question? Because although
Yeah.
I might silence my phone, I'm not sure how my phone is coupled to the computer. That's why if my mic is unmuted and the phone rings, it rings on my computer. Does anyone know?
And you're asking how to avoid that?
Yeah.
Are you using Zoom on your phone or on your computer?
On the computer.
And so if, so like if you're talking about a WhatsApp call, for example, WhatsApp rings both on my phone and my computer. I suppose, and I don't know how to disentangle that.
Oh, well, never mind. Never mind. I just thought someone might know. But I'll just stay unmuted. Okay, thanks, Prabhu.
Okay, the Gopis of Vrindavan were so attached to Krishna that they were not satisfied simply with the rasa dance at night. They wanted to associate with him and enjoy his company during the daytime also. When Krishna went to the forest with his cowherd boyfriends and cows, the Gopis did not physically take part, but their hearts went with him. And because their hearts went, they were able to enjoy his company through strong feelings of separation. To acquire this strong feeling of separation is the teaching of Lord Chaitanya and his direct disciplic succession of Goswamis. When we are not in physical contact with Krishna, we can associate with him like the Gopis through feelings of separation. Krishna's transcendental form, qualities, pastimes, and entourage are all identical with him. There are 9 different kinds of devotional service. Devotional service to Krishna in feelings of separation elevates the devotee to the highest perfectional level, to the level of the Gopis. It is stated in Srinivasacharya's prayer to the 6 Goswamis that they left the material opulences of government service and the princely status of life and went to Vrindavan, where they lived just like ordinary mendicants, begging from door to door. But they were so much enriched with the Gopis' feelings of separation that they enjoyed transcendental pleasure at every moment. Similarly, when Lord Chaitanya was at Jagannath Puri, he was in the role of Radharani, feeling the separation of Krishna. Those who are in the disciplic succession of the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya should also feel the separation of Krishna, worship his transcendental form, and discuss his transcendental teachings, his pastimes, his qualities, his entourage, and his associations. The spiritual masters should enrich the devotees to the highest devotional perfection. Feeling constant separation while engaged in the service of the Lord is the perfection of Krishna consciousness. And if I look down my row, next it's Dhaesvara Prabhu to read, then Krishna Chandra Prabhu, then Nanda Patni, and then back to me. So
Can you scroll it down a little bit because your picture is covering up the text a little? No, the other way.
Okay.
Move the
How's
text
that?
down. No, move the text down on the page.
Okay,
Yeah, there you go.
you know that you can close all those pictures if you just click on up in the right corner. There's some little yeah.
Oh, I see.
Some little boxes.
Okay.
Okay.
The Gopis used to discuss Krishna amongst themselves, and their talks were as follows. my dear friends, one Gopi said, do you know that when Krishna lies on the ground, he rests on his left elbow and his head rests on his left hand? He moves his attractive eyebrows while playing his flute with his delicate fingers. And the sound he produces creates such a nice atmosphere that the denizens of the heavenly planets who travel in space with their wives and beloved stop their airplanes, or they are stunned by the vibration of the flute. The wives of the demigods who are seated in the planes then become very much ashamed of their singing and musical qualifications. Not only that, but they become afflicted with conjugal love, and their hair and tightened dresses immediately loosen. Another Gopi said, my dear friends, Krishna is so beautiful that the goddess of fortune always remains on his chest, and he is always adorned with a golden necklace. Beautiful Krishna plays his flute in order to enliven the hearts of many devotees. He is the only friend of the suffering living entities. When he plays his flute, all the cows and other animals of Vrindavan, although engaged in eating, simply take a morsel of food in their mouths and stop chewing. Their ears raise up and they become stunned. They do not appear alive, but like painted animals. Krishna's flute playing is so attractive that even the animals become enchanted. What to speak of ourselves?
And Krishna Chandra Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Another Gopi said, my dear friends, not only living animals, but even inanimate objects like the rivers and lakes of Vrindavan also become stunned when Krishna passes with peacock feathers on his head and his body smeared with the minerals of Vrindavan. With leaves and flowers decorating his body, he looks like some hero. When he plays on his flute and calls the cows with Balaram, the river Yamuna stops flowing and waits for the air to carry dust from his lotus feet. The river Yamuna is unfortunate like us. It does not get Krishna's mercy. The river simply remains stunned, stopping its waves just as we also stop crying out of frustration for Krishna. In the absence of Krishna, the gopis were constantly shedding tears, but sometimes when they expected that Krishna was coming, they would stop crying. But when they saw that Krishna was not coming, then again they would become frustrated and begin to cry. Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, the origin of all Vishnu forms, and the cowherd boys are all demigods. Lord Vishnu is always worshipped and surrounded by different demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Indra, Chandra, and others. When Krishna traveled through the Vrindavan forest or walked on the Govardhan hill, he was accompanied by the cowherd boys. While walking, he played his flute just to call his cows. Just by his association, the trees, plants, and other vegetation in the forest immediately became Krishna conscious. A Krishna conscious person sacrifices everything for Krishna. Although trees and plants are not very advanced in consciousness, by the association of Krishna and his friends, they also became Krishna conscious. They then want to deliver everything, whatever they have, their fruits, flowers, and honey, incessantly falling from their branches.
Thank you, Nandapatni. Prabhu.
When Krishna walked on the bank of the Yamuna, he was seen nicely decorated with tilak on his head. He was garlanded with different kinds of forest flowers, and his body was smeared by the pulp of sandalwood and tulsi leaves. The bumblebees became mad after the treasure and sweet nectar of the atmosphere. Being pleased by the humming sound of the bees, Krishna would play his flute. And together the sounds became so sweet to hear that the aquatics, the cranes, the swans, the ducks, and other birds were charmed. Instead of swimming or flying, they became stunned and they closed their eyes and entered a trance of meditation in worship of Krishna. One gopi said, "My dear friend, Krishna and Balaram are nicely dressed with earrings and pearl necklaces. They enjoy themselves on the top of Govardhan Hill, and everything becomes absorbed in transcendental pleasure when Krishna plays on his flute, charming the whole created manifestation. When he plays, the clouds stop their loud thundering out of fear of him. Rather than disturb the vibration of his flute, they respond with mild thunder, and so congratulate Krishna, their friend."
Krishna is accepted as the friend of the cloud because both the cloud and Krishna satisfy the people when they are disturbed. When the people are burning due to excessive heat, the cloud satisfies them with rain. Similarly, when people in materialistic life become disturbed by the blazing fire of material pangs, Krishna gives them relief. The cloud and Krishna, having the same bodily color, also are considered to be friends. Desiring to congratulate its superior friend, the cloud poured not water, but small flowers and covered the head of Krishna to protect him from the scorching sunshine. Wow, how cool is that? Someone should do that painting. One of the gopis told Mother Yashoda, "My dear mother, your son is very expert among the cowherd boys. He knows all the different arts, how to tend the cows, how to play the flute. He composes his own songs, and to sing them, he puts his flute to his mouth. When he plays, either in the morning or in the evening, all the demigods like Lord Shiva, Brahma, Indra, and Chandra bow their heads and listen with great attention. Although they are very learned and expert, they cannot understand the musical arrangements of Krishna's flute. They simply listen attentively and try to understand, but become bewildered and nothing more." Another gopi said, "My dear friend, when Krishna returns home with his cows, the footprint of the soles of his feet with flag, thunderbolt, trident, and lotus flower relieves the pain the earth feels when the cows traverse it. He walks in a stride which is so attractive, and he carries his flute. Just by looking at him, we become lusty to enjoy his company. At that time, our movements cease. We become just like trees and stand perfectly still." Daneshwar Prabhu. We even forget what we look like.
Krishna has many thousands of cows, and they were divided into groups according to their colors. They were also differently named according to color. When he would return from the pasturing ground, he would find all the cows gathered. As Vaishnavas count 108 beads, which represent the 108 individual gopis, so Krishna would also chant the 108 different groups of cows. When Krishna returns, he is garlanded with tulsi leaves. A gopi describes him to a friend. He puts his hand on the shoulder of a cowherd boyfriend and begins to blow his transcendental flute. The wives of the black deer become enchanted upon hearing the vibration of his flute, which resembles the vibration of the veena. The deer come to Krishna and become so charmed that they stand still, forgetting their homes and their husbands. Like us, who are enchanted by the ocean of the transcendental qualities of Krishna, the she-deer become enchanted by the vibration of his flute.
Krishna Chandra Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Another gopi told Mother Yashoda, "My dear mother, when your son returns home, he decorates himself with the buds of the kunda flower, and just to enlighten and gladden his friends, he blows his flute. The breeze blowing from the south pleases the atmosphere because it is fragrant and very cool. Demigods like the Gandharvas and Siddhas take advantage of this atmosphere and offer prayers to Krishna by sounding their bugles and drums. Krishna is very kind to the inhabitants of Rajabhumi, Vrindavan, and when he returns with his cows and friends, he is remembered as the lifter of Govardhan Hill. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the most exalted demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva come down to offer their evening prayers, and they accompany the cowherd boys in glorifying the qualities of Krishna. Krishna is compared with the moon, born in the ocean of the womb of Devaki. When he returns in the evening, it appears that he is fatigued, but he still tries to gladden the inhabitants of Vrindavan by his auspicious presence. When Krishna returns, garlanded with flowers, his face looks beautiful. He walks into Vrindavan with a stride just like the elephant and slowly enters his home. Upon his return, the men, women, and cows of Vrindavan immediately forget the scorching heat of the day.
May I make a comment?
Just in a moment. Okay, we'll open it up because there's only one more paragraph to go.
Oh, okay.
Nitya Leela, you didn't read it all. Would you like to read the last paragraph, please? Do you mind, Nanda Patni? If
No. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Such descriptions of Krishna's transcendental pastimes and activities were remembered by the Gopis during his absence from Vrindavana. They gave us some idea of Krishna's attraction. Everyone and everything is attracted to Krishna. That is the perfect descriptions of Krishna's attraction. The example of the Gopi is very instructive to persons who are trying to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness. One can very easily associate with Krishna simply by remembering his transcendental pastimes. Everyone has a tendency to love someone. That Krishna should be object of love is a central point of Krishna consciousness. By constantly chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and remembering the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, one can be fully in Krishna consciousness and thus make his life sublime and fruitful. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport of the 34th chapter of Krishna, the Gopis' feeling of separation.
Jai, Dhaneswar Prabhu, please, let's now have some reflections and any questions that anyone has. Dhaneswar Prabhu.
Yeah, when we was reading that paragraph about Krishna's gait being like the elephant.
Yeah.
When I was in Mayapur one time, and the elephant was going around doing parikram on Saturday night. So I was remembering this, and I was observing the gait of the elephant. And the elephant moves in such a, such a stately way. When I remember when I first read that, having no experience with elephants, I was a little struck by that comparison. And, you think, okay, it's a big animal and how can it, be so graceful? But the fact is the elephant's movement is such a graceful way. It's really wonderful to see. And so one gets the impression of Krishna also moving in a very stately manner, like one who is not hurried, one who is completely sure, self-assured, confident, totally in charge, like that.
That reminds me of Srila Prabhupada. The first time I laid my eyes on him, 1975, July 4th weekend in Chicago, and the glass doors opened at either the American or Pan Am Airlines at O'Hare Krishna Airport. And as they opened out, and Prabhupada came, and he had perfect posture. His head was the way a chiropractor would ask you to hold your body, with chin in, shoulders back. And Prabhupada looked so elegant, aristocratic, and he walked with purpose. But everyone was going berserk around him, and all the sannyasis, they'd kind of made like a not a rope, but a protective perimeter, right? Because everyone wanted to touch his feet, and all these flowers are being thrown at him, at his feet. Not at him, but maybe on his head. I can't remember, but he was definitely getting it on. And all the people at in the airport, they were just like stunned. They didn't know what was going on. That was amazing to see Prabhupada though walking with this confidence and not affected, like not in any narcissist way that, just see how much they love. Although Prabhupada did say on another occasion to one of his godbrothers, just see how much they love me. Something, remember that?
Mhm.
Yes.
I also had the opportunity to greet Prabhupada at the Philadelphia airport in 1975 when he came there.
Would have that been after Chicago? Do you think?
No, that was immediately after Atlanta, where I received second initiation. Prabhupada went up to Philadelphia for Rath Yatra, and we all went up there
What
also.
month was that? Do you remember?
May, something like that.
Okay, so it was before he came to Chicago.
No,
Atlanta.
that would have been Philadelphia Rath Yatra, because it always starts with New York, so it must have been in June,
Right.
but I don't remember.
Okay, so Atlanta, Philadelphia, then maybe he came to Chicago, maybe.
No, it was Atlanta, Philadelphia, New York.
New York, yeah, and then Chicago, probably.
Yeah.
But Chicago was July 4th weekend. I remember still.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yes. So you were in Philadelphia with Prabhupada?
Anyway, it was such an amazing experience because we had this huge kirtan party, right, going down the corridor with about 4 or 5 murdagas, and 100 pairs of kartals, and everybody was just like so bewildered, to see this, what's going on, and the policemen, they didn't know what to do, and then when Prabhupada came out the gate from the plane and everybody hit the deck and
right,
offered obeisances, and everybody was even more bewildered. And the flowers being thrown, and I remember there was one custodian or something, he's getting frantic, like, you're throwing all these flowers all over, who's going to pick this up? The devotees just kept on going.
I don't think we could ever get away with greeting Prabhupada today like we did then. We might get locked up.
No.
Seen as terrorists or something. I have a bunch of points that I'd like to share, but I want to open it up to everyone else before I share anything. Nandapatni, anything you heard that stood out for you?
No, not particularly. I mean, it's a very lyrical, beautiful language.
Mm-hmm.
It's not sort of quite as weighty philosophical tone. So it's very beautiful. So I don't have any particular comment.
Very enchanting.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, very much so. I mean, Prabhupada really goes to creating the atmosphere here.
I don't know if I told you last time, Dhaesvara Prabhu, but Nandapatni was only 16 years old. Some friends brought her to a hall. I don't know if you remember which hall it was, Nandapatni, where George Harrison was presenting from his own hand the new 1970 Krishna book that he donated $19,000. And he handed it to Prabhupada at this special commemoration.
Wow.
She was a 16-year-old girl. Bhaktin, what were you? Bhaktin, what?
Nicola is my Christian
Bhaktin
name.
Nicola.
Yeah.
You weren't even like, these were people that just appreciated. You weren't even with initiated devotees, just like some hippies.
No, I was with some Moroccans whose cousin had actually joined the movement, and they had asked me to go to Paris with them to meet this devotee. So I went, and that devotee was Brahmachari, and he preached to me, and that was that. I mean, I was pretty much done with the material world. Right.
Which devotee was that? Do you remember?
I don't remember his name. I think it was Radha something or other. But anyway, and then he said, that Bhaktivedanta Swami was going to London. I should go and see him with Sonia and Maurice. So I did, and that changed my life forever.
And you were like in the front row center or something?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
And what was going through your mind as you saw George Harrison handing the Krishna book to you?
I wasn't so hooked on him as much as seeing this 200 devotees as if their feet were not touching the ground. They were all on the stage in some, Vaikuntha ritual in Kirtan. And
Wow.
I'd never seen such a thing. Then, of course, the Vyasa was in the middle. Of course, I grew up on Lord of the Rings. So when Prabhupada came in, I thought he was kind of a bit like Gandalf. Because he was actually quite small, but
5'2".
he wasn't towering.
5'2" inches.
Yeah, to my uninitiated mind, he was magical and beyond this world. So I was taken. I was done.
Wow.
Yeah, I was done.
And shortly after you moved in?
No, it took me quite a while to extract myself. So
Okay.
I was only initiated in 1975. I actually left Britain, and it made it easier to.
Okay. Too many
Well, if
ties
you were a
there.
young girl of 16, it would be probably difficult for you just to move in and temple.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you remember any of the words at all exchanged between George?
No, I don't. It was all so unbelievably overwhelming. I mean, everything was new. And I mean, basically, you're getting dropped into Vaikuntha right there. So it's very, it's as if you really have been transported. So that's quite bewildering because you're suddenly, plucked out of reality as you know it without any intoxication or anything. So you think, well, what on earth's going on here? So, yeah, anyway.
Welcome back to the spiritual world.
Yes, it was my Vaikuntha. I was put on a plane, a flower airplane, and
Transported.
transported. Yes.
Wonderful to hear. Wow. Anything from you? Hare Krishna, Linda. Welcome back.
Second.
Krishna Chandra's mom. Hare Krishna.
Say something more.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for
Hare
coming,
Krishna,
Linda.
Linda.
And Krishna Chandra Prabhu, do you have any thoughts that came from the 16 paragraphs we just read?
I deeply appreciate you asking me. I wish I had something.
That's fine. I've been taking notes. I have a lot of points to share, but I don't want to be puffed up. I want everyone else to speak first. Nitya Leela, you didn't have a chance to catch very much. Do you have a comment on the last paragraph that you read?
Yeah, I do have. When you begin Krishna consciousness journey, keeping in Krishna is not very easy. And taking example of Gopis is very intense. As per my experience and knowledge, maybe we can more focus on how Arjuna served Lord Krishna, and then we can absolutely absorb in Krishna's pastime services, or how Lord Hanumanji is serving Lord Rama. But keeping Gopis example in mind, absorbing in Krishna is very intense. Some people get into domain of Sahajiya, then they deviate from service front. This is how I have learned and about the experiences of people in journal.
Mm-hmm.
Danishwar, you have a comment to make on what Nitya Leela just spoke?
No.
Okay. Nandapatni, you have a response?
Nitya Leela, it's a very good observation, and Prabhupada did warn about that, that we have to really go step by step through the Bhagavad Gita, and you're right in that regard because of all the lessons that are there between Krishna and Arjuna, and then going from start to finish all the way through the Bhagavatam. So you're absolutely correct, especially if you're in a public position of presenting Krishna consciousness. And our predecessor acharyas, they made a point, because there was so much smarta Brahmanism and Sahajism in India through their particular eras, that they were very, staunch about that point. And it's a point well taken. One has to have the qualification to, be really embracing those higher realms. So that's my understanding anyway. So
Yet by 1970, which was quite early on, Srila Prabhupada gave us 90 chapters of the Krishna book.
He did, but by the same token, he always lectured really on the fundamental parts.
Yeah.
I mean, I sort of think of him as like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who didn't know how many years he had left. And so it seemed like he wanted to immediately translate that into English, because English, giving these things to the English-speaking Western world, was his remit. And so, that
Remit means what? Excuse me.
That was his devotion to his spiritual master, his particular mission service to his Gurudev. So, but I mean, predominantly he lectured on Bhagavad Gita right through. I mean, even when he was with us in the later years, he wasn't, going into the internal moods of Raghunath Das Goswami, even though he gave us those things in Nectar of Instruction, and they're kind of couched throughout his writing as treasures. But we have to, we have to have the adhikari, we have to have the qualification. Otherwise, it's kind of a slippery slope, as Nitya Leela is saying.
No, I get your points, and I'm not challenging them. I'm just throwing out thoughts that come into my head. We just finished reading the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and I had read that after the Easy Journey to Other Planets, I believe, I don't know what year Bhagavad Gita was published. Was it 67? 60? Does anyone know?
Around there, 68, 69. The first one, I think, was the blue one or something, was it?
Right.
No.
Because Teachings of Lord Chaitanya was published in 1968. That's also and there's Ramananda Samvad, the topmost teachings of Krishna Prema being presented.
It's
so one of the first.
Yeah, it's true. But nonetheless, we can read those things, but it doesn't mean that we have actually become purified to realize them.
Right.
And enter into the internal potency of them. That's a whole nother thing.
But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't read them either.
Absolutely, because Prabhupada says point blank in Krishna book that you will actually become purified by reading this.
Right.
So, it takes a little nuanced understanding of what's going on here.
Shruti Sindhu, welcome all the way from Malaysia, Penang, Malaysia. Thank you very much for traveling such a long distance. You're traveling pretty much just as far as Nitya Leela all the way from Pakistan. So
they're on their flower airplanes.
Daneshwar Prabhu, any comments on what we just? Yes.
I've started to read Raganuga literature some time ago. Back in 2010, 2 weeks before Indra Prabhu left this world, I had a meeting with him. Well, I went to see him. I used to go see him every time I would go to Vrindavan.
Lucky you.
And on this particular occasion, he was going on and really forcefully pressing me on this issue that you must read these books. He's going, there's two paths of bhakti, Raganuga and Vaidhi, and you must pursue. Prabhupada came to give us Raganuga. And I recorded that conversation as long as the batteries of my recorder worked. And I posted that last conversation with Indra on Dandavats.
Thank you. I'll have to look that up.
He was very adamant about that, and it's quite, in my opinion, now very important. Even though at that time, 2010, so I had been in Christian consciousness just about 40 years at that time, and even in the comment section of that post, there were some devotees that were arguing that, oh, we can't read this, we have to be very careful and so on. But, my my position is it's time to grow up, right?
Yeah.
We're practicing Krishna consciousness for 40 years.
Yeah.
If you don't have the audit card by now, get with it. What are you doing? You know, you must, right? You should understand this philosophy and become qualified. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Chaitanya Shikshamrita, he says, the main reason devotees do not make progress in devotional service is because they stop trying. You have to understand, what is the next step? What's my next step? How do I get there? What do I have to do? And we have to always be pushing ourselves to make progress in Krishna consciousness, not become lackadaisical in performing the activities of Vaidhi Bhakti without thinking that there's nothing else. There is something else, and it's very important for us to go there because, according to Chaitanya Charitamrita, one cannot get to Goloka Vrindavan simply on the basis of Vaidhi sadhana. And, you know, we're all thinking about Krishna, Goloka Vrindavan. Okay, we have to know how to get there, right? There's a process. It's described properly. We should learn it, and we should endeavor to qualify ourselves to do that so that we can go to Goloka Vrindavan.
Thank you.
I agree with you, and I really admire how Ayendra Prabhu took so many risks within the institution, kind of against all odds, you know, to make his points. I absolutely adore him for that. You know, I have so much respect for him on that issue. I really do. But I think, what would you say in addressing, you know, Nitya Leela's point where, you know, you can run into the kind of a sahajism. How did you address that?
Yeah, sure. One has to understand the process, right? This Vaidhi sadhana is necessary, and Prabhupada says, right, not before anartha nivritti, right? We have to purify the heart, clear all the anarthas away, then coming to the stage of nishtha, then we become eligible. What's the next step? Nishtha. What is it?
Ruchi.
Ruchi, right?
Sorry,
right? You get a taste from hearing. So you got to hear about Krishna and these pastimes, and I won't go on about this, but I just want to say, you know, my experience with this, it's another entire realm, and I'm so glad that I finally took it up, even after 10 years after hearing that from Indra. I finally got into it, you know, started doing it, and it's another realm. And so, you know, I always encourage devotees, understand this process, you know what the steps are, and get through them quickly. You can get through anartha nivritti. I teach, you can get through that within 5 years if you apply yourself and if you know what you're doing. And don't wait. Why wait? Right? That's the spiritual world. That's where we want to get to.
So please share what you think are the top 3 or 5 books in order for one to read to understand Raganuga Bhakti better. What would you start with?
There's so many.
Yeah, you know, it was quite bewildering when I started to enter into that, because what's what? Now, what I will say is that our godbrother, Uttama Shloka, he wrote a wonderful book.
Yeah, I've read it.
Based on that conversation, my last conversation with Indra, when Uttama Shloka read that on Dandavats, it inspired him to write his book, Understanding and Realization of Your Eternal Identity.
Right.
And he goes through the entire gamut of all the devotional literature and the different stages, you know, how we should make progress. And it's a wonderful book. There's another one by one devotee, don't remember his name, Follow Rupa Raghunath, which is a similar book to Uttama Shlokas, but it does not have all the references, and it's not as complete, but it's a quick read, about 2 hours. And it also emphasizes the same thing. But Uttama Slokas is the best. And I'd say go there, read that book first, because then you get the literature is so vast. You know, when I was trying to do it, I was saying, okay, which one, you know?
Right.
And when I had that conversation with Indra, I was thinking, oh, finally, I've got my teacher, somebody who's going to show me what steps.
And then he left his body.
2 weeks later, he is gone, and I was mortified.
Yeah, but in Prabhupada's books, he encourages the reading of the Goswami literatures. And I was reading in the second canto this week that he said one of the cardinal traits of a devotee who really wants to go back to Godhead is this huge inquisitiveness. That actually the disciple must be inquisitive on that level. So I thought that was fascinating. You know, it's that kind of your inquisitiveness, like you say, as to, you know, really how to get there, becoming more immersed in the goal.
Yeah, in the Nectar of Devotion, it's stated that the price for going back to Godhead is desire. You have to have a desire to go there. And that desire is developed by hearing.
Lolium, greed.
Lolium. Yeah, greed, not desire, greed. You're right. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. You're reminding me of how far away I am and how I need to get my Vaidhi Bhakti together so I can enter into. I mean, I did read up to the 5th chapter of Uttama Shloka Prabhu's book. I read up to that.
Uh-huh.
I should perhaps, but I appreciate you giving your seal of approval and expressing. Yeah.
Well, it's important because otherwise, we don't hear. Okay. It's been a long time since I've heard many classes by our God brothers, but in my experience before, you don't hear anybody talking about this stuff. And it's so important and it's so necessary. So it's a very valuable book, in my opinion, to help us understand, right? What's the next step? How do I go? How do I get there? What do I do? That's our goal, right? We have to have goals. We want to get, we want to have that big goal going back to Godhead. Well, big goals are hard to do. So you break it down into smaller goals,
right?
And you do, execute them one after another, and then, to where you can get to that point.
So I have a question for you, unless you still have something else you needed to say.
Yeah.
Okay. So we hear that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would only discuss these high topics with Ramananda Roy, Surup Damodar. I'm not sure if there was anybody else. Was it Sikhi Mahidi's sister or Sikhi Mahidi? I don't know who the third one was. But so it sounds like, so on the one hand, you're saying, we never heard this from our God brothers. For example, I remember going to one, I think I already know the answer on this, so maybe there's no need for me to bring it up. But anyway, I went to one festival of a Gaudiya Acharya, and I heard the 4 young men and women discussing about the Ashtashakis. And they were like, I don't know, 18 years old or something. And I was like amazed. Like I thought, wow, Gora, you're so out of it. You're talking about the Ashtashakis and you don't even know what the names of them are. And then I went up and I said, wow, it's really, impressive to hear you, discussing that, Tangavidya does this and Chitraleka does that. And I said, have you read the Bhagavad Gita before? And they said, no. So I was thinking, if I was Bhakta Glenn at the Chicago temple and I was going on about the Ashtashakis, my God brothers might have given me a good slap on the side of the head. Like, how dare you discuss these things? You haven't even read the Bhagavad Gita yet. So I'm just wondering if you have a response to that.
Well, according to Indra, and I don't know if you've read his book. His book is something else amazing.
Yeah.
I just read a part of it, and he was damning this and damning that and damning, and I didn't know what to make of it.
He's a firebrand. Yeah.
Well, in my last meeting with him, I told him I had read his book, and that was before it was published, because I got it from my Russian translator, who got it from. He sent it to the GBC in Russia, and his Russian translator got it, and it was circulating amongst all the Russian translators who read English. And so I let him know that, that's going on. Anyway, he asked me, what did I think of it? And I said, well, to be honest with you, I got a little put off by all that to hell with part.
Right, to hell with, right? But he took that from the Yajnika Brahmanas, right? The hell with,
anyway, it's really, his prose is something else, it's inimitable. Anyway, what was the question? I got off track there.
Well, what was explained to me by one of the sannyasis of that Gaudiya group is that
oh yeah. About delving into that prematurely.
Yes.
I after this I've begun teaching a course, or one of my introductory classes wherever I would travel would be the whole understanding what is Bhakti-Yoga. And all the way from the beginning, from Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti all the way through Prema, and understanding what are the steps that everybody has to go through. So that's the part that I'm saying that we should understand. Okay, not that we discuss all the intimate pastimes, Govinda Lilamrita, or something, something like that. We must understand what is Bhakti Yoga, so that we can know what we have to do next, right?
Right.
So that part everybody should understand.
So in other words, not so much Leela necessarily, but the philosophy behind it.
The process, what are the steps of Bhakti Yoga? And then how do I qualify myself to execute them, what I'm doing? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, first, you take a step. You make sure you're firmly planted on that step before you lift up your foot from the previous step. And in this way, one by one, you make progress. Right. He said the problem is people get stuck on a step and they don't go any further. They don't, they just think, okay, Christianity is it. That's, or this or that, whatever. No, it's a series of stages. How do I make
accept
progress?
Jesus in my heart? I accept Jesus in my heart. I'm saved.
Yeah. So, okay, that's a step, but they get stuck there.
Right.
So, okay, we have to understand what is the goal, right? Pure love of Godhead.
I think that's called the sadhya, the goal. Sadhya. I think that's the term.
No, sadhya is the process.
Oh, it's the process. Okay.
Yeah. One other point there, which I put in my last conversation with Indra. We have to be very careful to understand the difference between Raganuga and Ragatmika. In the early editions of Nectar of Devotion, in chapter 16, I think, further evidence of devotional principles, something like that. Ragatmika is there where it should read Raganuga. And so devotees get confused because they're thinking, Ragatmika. Ragatmika is the pure love of the inhabitants of Draj that they have for Krishna. And seeing those in those associates of Krishna and their love for Krishna, we develop a desire to want to be like them. And to become like them, we practice Raganuga sadhana. So Raganuga is the stage, Ragatmika is the stage of perfection. Raganuga is the sadhana by which we can come to that stage of perfection.
So Raganuga bhakti is that by which we can achieve Ragatmika. Is that correct?
Right. It's a sadhana, right? It's also a sadhana that one should practice, right? And this is what's actually technically called bhajan. Bhajan is your meditation on the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and how that develops. That's bhajan, not singing and kirtan. Kirtan's
So Raganuga sadhana is bhajan, yes?
Yeah.
Which brings us to Ragatmika.
Right.
Okay, so not that I want to divert this discussion, but I'm just thinking, because I've read this clarification before, Raganuga should be in place of Ragatmika, correct? Yes, you said like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's an instance where an edit was very important. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that justifies 5,000 others, but
Right. And I
that's
did when I sent that to Dandavats, they're taking weeks to publish it, and because they were inquiring from Dravida, what about this? And Dravida had made those changes, so they are changed and they are properly expressed in the later editions of Nectar of Devotion, but the
Okay.
earlier editions they're not. And then when I would travel, I would always ask devotees, because the about the translations, whether they had them correct or not, and for the most part, because the translations had earlier been made off of the early Nectar of Devotion, they also had the mistake, so that needs to be corrected, and
Thank
everybody
you.
should know about that, so they understand those 2 points properly.
Very important. Now, Nityalila has just brought a question here, and she's asking, what is the indicator that one is at Ragatmika?
It's called prema. Ragatmika is the position of Krishna's intimate eternal associates. Mother Yashoda, right? Nanda Baba, right?
When you're worried that Krishna is not in time for dinner, then you know you're getting there to Ragatmika. when you're wondering if Krishna is going to meet you in the forest. Nice question. I'd like to go back to the Krishna, because I wrote down questions here, but I can't remember.
Oh yeah, you haven't had your time to speak. Go ahead.
That no, my time to speak isn't so insignificant, but I have questions. So I'm just going to go back here because I'm trying. Does anyone remember the reference to Madhukari being referred to? Was that about the bees, or where did the topic of Madhukari? Oh yeah, okay. Srinivasacharya's prayers of the six Goswamis. They left the material opulences of the government, begging from door to door.
Yeah.
And how, okay, devotion serves the Krishna, and feelings of separation elevates the devotee to the highest perfection. And so the six Goswamis are an example of that, right? They were in the mood of the Gopis.
Yes.
They were so much enriched with the Gopis' feelings of separation that they enjoyed transcendental pleasure at every moment. So one comment I wanted to make about that was, I was remember reading in the Prabhupada Lilamrita, which is largely based, for whatever criticism one may have, although Tattvavit told me there were 500 edits that needed to be done, because I always wondered, now, 30, 40 years after Satsarup Maharaj did the Lilamrita, would he create any edits now? Because he received probably feedback from many godbrothers over the years. And Tattvavit said there were about 500 edits to do in that, but they needed to sell all the previous edition out of Sweden before a new printing would come out. So I remember it being described that Srila Prabhupada was doing this Madhukari, because he was 14 years in Vrindavan, correct? He spent at Radha Damodar temple, something like that. And so I just imagine Srila Prabhupada begging.
Did he do that?
Yeah. One time I was in Vrindavan, and I remember seeing all these sadhus going from door to door, kind of like, I'm sorry, I don't want to bring down things to the mundane level, but kind of the way, people do on Halloween, they go out to get apples and candies. But these are sadhus going out to get chapatis and whatever else they may get.
But Radha Damodar, they distribute prasadam, right? Or is that just in our day? Maybe they didn't do it before. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good question.
I think
So you're saying because they have a kitchen there for Radha Damodar, Prabhupada should have gotten everything he needed without doing Madhukari.
I think he did it as part of his sannyas, and in the book by Mula Prakriti, where a lot of Brijbasis and godbrothers describe Prabhupada in that era in particular. They're knowing him. There are definitely descriptions of him, so renounced like that, like his clothes were almost torn and
Uh-huh.
like that. Yeah, he was completely and utterly renounced. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just, as I read that paragraph, I was thinking, even though the highly prestigious six Goswamis came from so much opulence, they felt totally blissful because of their absorption in the mood of the gopis. So I was thinking, if someone tried to do Madhukari walking around in a ripped dhoti to get a few chapatis, you can't fake that, right? You have to really be absorbed in hearing and chanting. Otherwise, you might wonder one day, what am I doing walking around in ripped clothes to get a dry chapati, right? That's just one thought that came to me. I would, as I was reading about how the Jamuna River and so many entities were being stunned by Krishna's flute, I thought about, as a little boy growing up with the Pied Piper story and how the Pied Piper would enchant everyone. I'm thinking, well, that story must have its roots in Krishna Lila. Because Krishna is the original Pied Piper, right? He was describing that a Krishna conscious person sacrifices everything for Krishna. And I was thinking that, the first few years of my joining ISKCON, starting from 1975 as a backup crew member for Tripurari Swami's party, loading up the van at Chicago Temple with, hundreds of boxes of books as they would come out of the air container. And we're on a mission for Prabhupada, do or die, banzai, hit the beach, hit the airport, and and hot off the press. It was so exciting seeing the fourth canto part 3, fourth canto part 4, just as they'd be freshly coming out, they'd be going into the van and going into the hands of businessmen, admirals, soldiers, generals, rock stars, you name it. I remember when we were distributing the 5th canto, and it was describing the hellish planets, Pragoshin, Vaisheshika, and Tripura. They were distributing the Bhagavatam with the hellish planets to the businessmen. I thought that was pretty amazing. But I just wanted to say that at some point in my devotional career or service, I found that I lost my enthusiasm to a certain extent, because in the beginning, I was making devotees for Prabhupada, and I felt very ecstatic about bringing every person I met to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. And then later, as I saw that, my godbrothers who were in these positions of leadership, they were not on the level of Prabhupada. And I guess I was in Maya, or I lacked enthusiasm, but gradually I saw my enthusiasm to go out and do Harinam every day and pump out as many books as possible to make them Prabhupada's disciples. I lost something somewhere.
You weren't the only one.
Yeah, and I want to get that back. I want to bring that back. I lost it.
And there were devotees of Srila Prabhupada downtown Santa Cruz this last weekend on the mall,
Yes.
including Rasangi. And they have more of a kind of sit down style of chanting, because everyone's a lot older. And they had a book table. It was very nice. They distributed books and prasadam and met people, and
nice.
Yeah.
I was just reading, as we were reading through, it was talking about how Krishna's a friend of the cloud, and how the cloud calms and cools everything down. And that reminded me of Sangsara Dava Nalalida Loka Tranaya Karunya Ganaganatvam. And I remember reading Prabhupada saying in one of the small books that if there's a raging forest fire, they may send a fire brigade, but unless a merciful rain cloud comes along, then that helps to extinguish a big fire. So that's compared to the mercy of the spiritual master, correct?
Right.
Yes, so that's Srila Prabhupada's books. That's the holy name. What I found really amazing is that the gopis forgot what they looked like by seeing Krishna. I thought, wow, like a lot of people go to a mirror to see what they look like, right? Because they want to look presentable to the public or whatever. But I'm thinking, wow, that's so amazing that you become so overwhelmed with Krishna's beauty and flute playing that you forget what you look like. There's an example, there's an answer for you, Nitya Leela. How do you know when you're at Ragatmika? When you forget what you look like. I was amazed to hear about the 108 groups of cows, because I remember reading that Krishna personally took care of 900,000 cows, and he had a name for every single one of them, and he could call them by each of their names. So I'm not a mathematician, but if there's 108 groups of cows, then I guess there's an equation, right? 108 groups into 900,000, or what would be the equation for that?
I get overwhelmed by the logistics of all that.
Yeah,
You know, or there was like what 100,000 cows in Dwarka, or even more than that. And
right.
you know, I was just like, how do you do that?
I was talking with Nanda. Go ahead, Nanda. Sorry.
But in Gujarat and Rajasthan, in particular, I noticed they had in their architecture beautiful painting on the white stucco houses. They would paint hundreds of cows on the outside of the house.
Yeah,
it was very, very beautiful.
So as I was reading this, as we were reading this, I was thinking, wow, yeah, that's Gokula, that's Goloka Vrindavan, a culture of cows, a whole culture.
Yes, please.
And I know we were talking with Nanda Patni a little earlier today, and she was saying how much she's really into cows, because I was noticing the photo on her page. It's a beautiful photo of a Gopa walking with cows on a road in, I think this was actually Mayapur. I'm not sure. Maybe it was Mayapur, but Mayapur, Vrindavan, no difference. Because I think it's Mayapur.
Yeah, also Krishna says in the 10th canto that the cows are actually great sages.
Wow.
And so that's one of the reasons why Krishna likes to go into the forest and play his flute and play with them. Yeah.
2 years ago, when I was last in India, I checked into an Ayurvedic clinic in Badi, an hour from Chandigarh. Wild peacocks flying in the sky. It was so cool. And this was supposed to become a big senior citizens home, but they turned it into an Ayurvedic hospital. And what was really cool, like the most exciting day of the week, you could say, was Friday night, right? And so in the West here, it's like Friday night, and I just got paid. And but this Friday night, man, going down to the Goshala, there was a Goshala on the property there, and we do Go Puja every Friday night, and all the staff, all the doctors, all the massage therapists, all the patients, we'd go down to the Goshala. There were 13 cows there, and there was a baby bull whose name was Nandishvara, and he'd been born to one of the mama cows. And there was one South Indian Brahmin there, Om Tat Vishnu Paramang Pataka chanting, and he would engage me to like tie the little string around the cow's tail. It was a whole, I don't know about cow puja, but he'd have me put the kumkum on the cow's head and offer rice to the feet of the cow, and he'd be chanting all these mantras. I felt very like honored that I was like sort of like this right-hand man to, whatever he asked me to do, I would do it. And then afterwards, they had cooked up this halava made out of cracked rice with gur and the ghee from the cows there. And because of the, panchakarma I was taking, they were not giving me anything sweet during the whole week. And that was the one day of the week I got a bowl of halava. But when the head doctor, Vaidya Aravind, saw me going for a second bowl, he started scolding me. No, Gora, Das, no more halava for you. But I have very fond memories of coming together on that Friday night, and how that Goshala was an essential part of that Ayurvedic hospital, that so many medicines were coming from the dahi, from the milk, from And I was thinking, this is a progressive hospital. It's got nothing to do with, all kinds of harmful toxic chemicals. It's based on Gomata and how essential she is. And so going to India, I was just like reminded, yes, I'm supposed to be part of a cow culture, not a cow killing culture that surrounds me.
I was going to ask Nityalila if there's any, do you know if there are any cow protection programs?
No, we don't have. Yeah, we don't have in Pakistan yet. And but I just observed that many of the non-Hindu community members, they endorse this fact that they have been misled, they have not been guided properly. They discuss, some of the doctors, nurses, they discuss with me that they are misguided massively because they believe that they should kill cow and eat, and they are drinking milk from bull. Contrary to this fact, they are saying that actually what we should do, we should have milk, butter, and products from cow. We should eat those things from cow, and we can consume a bull's meat whenever there is a need. But it's happening contradictory, actually. So that's why diseases are being increased, because cow should be, they are not buying our point of worshipping or revering, but they are saying that because she gives us milk products, butter, so we should not eat.
She sustains us. The bull and the cow sustain us.
Yeah, but bull can be used for eating meat, and cow can be used for having products. For
But
sustainability.
the bull can be used to plow the field so that we don't have to declare war on the Middle Eastern countries to steal their oil.
But that's a problem with the oil economy, right? The demons, they want oil, but they don't want the bull. When I was in Europe, well, probably more than 12 years ago or so, maybe, about that. The EU government was going around to all the small farmers and giving them a very good price for all of their cows. They're deliberately trying to reduce the number of cows, right? Because why? They're demons. They don't want cows. And we want cows. Why? Because cows, they are in sattva gun. Simply by being with that animal, you're forced to come to sattva, right?
Wow.
And this is the whole point. We want to rise up to sattva, not go down by eating the flesh of the cow.
Yeah. Exactly.
Also, in the main news, I think last week they were saying that they're generally across the world, they're worried about running out of synthetic fertilizers because it creates so much, it takes so much petroleum to produce, nitrogen, ammonia, whatnot.
They're deliberately creating this shortage.
Yeah.
Because they're planning on a famine. They're deliberately creating a food shortage.
But the cow in the natural cycle, gives the most wonderful fertilizer to the land. So that's the other reason. So anyway.
Another thing I noticed in this pastime was a reference to a black deer. And I don't ever recall ever seeing a black deer. The black deers were attracted to Krishna. I saw a blue deer. They call it the Neela something in Vrindavan. Neela, does anyone remember?
I heard about golden deer. That was in Ramayana.
Yeah, no, but that was Marich, the demon, who disguised himself. Black deer. Neela Giri, Neela something. And go ahead, Nandapatni.
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, yeah. So I found that interesting. A black deer. I'd never seen one before. I don't know if they still exist. And I was wondering, since you like horticulture so much, Nandapatni, have you heard of the Kunda flower? Because Krishna was decorated with the Kunda flower, and I'm not familiar with the Kunda.
No, you can tend to look these things up and actually get their botanical names. Curiously.
Okay.
You can also, I've done it, my memory is not very good, but you can Google the English one and then find their images too. So you can look up Kadamba and Malika and this and that and the other, you know.
Right. That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking also. I just thought you might know.
No.
So just for some paintings here of, I looked them up before we came together. This is some of the art that was done. This is supposed to, this is from the chapter that we just read. The Gopis feeling separation from Krishna. So this is a more modern one. I don't know who
That looks
did
like
this.
Pushkar.
Pushkar. Actually, no, I have one of Pushkar's. I'll show
Well,
it to you next.
It
Do
looks
you see
like
Krishna
Pushkar to
there on
me.
the left?
Looks like his work.
Okay. Well, but here, this one is definitely attributed to Pushkar. This is Pushkar's. Same
Oh.
pastime. Same pastime.
Okay.
Yeah. Gopis feeling separation from Krishna. Do you see Krishna there on the left?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we've been because we got into so much discussion in the past, we've been not continuing with our reading of the Upadeshamrita. So you just read one paragraph, Nichila. Would you like to read the next paragraph? This is, by the way, Dhaneshwar Prabhu, I hope you don't mind. We're reading, I've arranged for us to read the Nectar of Instruction, verse 1. And we did Prabhupada's, and now we're just reading, doing sort of a comparative study of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's commentary, because I've never read his. So do you mind if we hear from him for a few minutes?
No.
Okay, good.
No,
So,
I haven't read that. I'd be interested to hear
oh
it.
yeah, it's really amazing. Nichilila, would you like just to read this verse, and then we'll go back to the beginning of the readers?
Yeah, sure. Shikarani has also joined. So
Oh, she's
we
here
might
now.
request her.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Shikarani, would you like to read this shlok, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you for coming.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Pranams.
No.
Okay, you have the best
Asa-
Sanskrit pronunciation, you and Nichilila, so go for it.
Don't think so, but I'll try. So, asankalpas jayet kamam krodham kama vivarjanat artha nartekshya lobham bhayam tatvama vamarsanat. With strong determination, one should give up lusty desires and anger by rejecting the objective for sense gratification. One should give up greed by evaluation of the obstacles of accumulating wealth and by analyzing reality. One should abandon fear.
Okay,
In
now
the
read slowly, okay, because it's hard to take all this in if you're going fast, if you don't
Okay.
mind. At least me, I'm very dull, so.
No problem.
So
In the
please read.
Bhagavatam, it is mentioned by Devarshi Narad, asankalpaj jayet kamam. You have so many designs and plans to carry out. Asankalpa, don't enter. Don't allow yourself to enter such ambitious speculations. Don't allow yourself to be busy with such big ambitious engagements in life. Krodham kama vivarjanat. Bad temper sometimes comes within you. So withdraw from the beginning. Don't identify yourself fully with a particular plan. If any hindrance comes to you, you will be fully entangled. If you are not addicted to a particular plan, then there is no chance of being excited. Arthanartha Shaya. Lobham, you have so much greed for money. You have to discriminate what is the charm of money whenever you can construct. That automatically vanishes in course of time. So what is the charm of money? Bhayam tattva mrishanat. And if you have any fear or apprehension, then you have to discriminate. Tattva amarshanath, so many things are combined. matter, water, ether, which come and stay for some time and then disappears. Birth and death in the course of nature is coming and going everywhere. Every second something is born and every second something is dying. Calculating in this way, you should leave your fear. A long list is given there in Bhagavatam, and in the conclusion, it is said.
Excuse me, Sikarani, excuse me. Shraddha Sindhu, you didn't have a chance to read yet, did you?
It's okay. I'm just listening. It's all right.
Oh, you don't want to read?
I read now.
Rajas Tamas Chasadvena. At least read that translation.
Okay. Rajas tamas cha satyavena satvam chopasamena cha etat savam gurabhatya puruso hiya anjasa jai. Through devotion to the spiritual master, one can easily conquer the moods of passion and ignorance by cultivation of the mood of goodness and giving up attachment to those moods.
Okay, I'd like to ask a
Bhagavad-gita
question.
7.
Thank you. I'd like to ask a question of Daneshwar Prabhu. So we were just reading about giving up greed by evaluation of, what did it say? Of
Problems with money.
of accumulating wealth. So my question is this. I've heard that the powers that be, the Asuras, are planning on putting an end to paper currency, and that in 2 years they're hoping everything is going to go to digital, digital.
Yeah,
digital
CBDCs.
finance.
Mhm.
Pardon me?
They're called
Cryptocurrency.
CBDCs.
They're called what?
CBDCs, central bank digital currencies.
Okay.
It's actually cryptocurrency, not, we have digital currency now, but that's what they call it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we understand that everything belongs to Sri Krishna, and that it's improper renunciation if we have something and we can engage it in Krishna's service, but instead of using it in Krishna's service, we don't engage it. So that's not considered complete renunciation. So my question is, if within 2 years, whatever paper money we have, let's say we've saved $500 or we have $1,000 as a nest egg for an emergency. Because people are talking about, well, you should buy gold. That's the best thing. That's, it's worth a lot now. It's going to be like double, triple within the next couple of years. Other people say, no, silver. Silver is where it's at. Other people are saying, well, no, it's good to diversify, some gold, some silver, some cryptocurrency, but there's, certain cryptocurrencies that are better than others, XMF, XLM. I don't know this world. I don't know that financial world at all. But I'm just wondering, in light of what Srila Sridhar Maharaj is saying here, and in light of how whatever paper currency we might be able to accumulate, what are your, and you have a degree in economics, right? What do you have?
No, I have written a book about economics,
Spiritual
spiritual
economics. Yeah, here's your chance to give it a plug.
Yeah, you probably don't have 2 years.
Really?
They, Abhaya Mudra Devi Dasi, the astrologer wife
Yep.
of her brother, she's written her prognosis saying that by the year 2025, your gold and silver will not be, nobody will be interested even in your gold and silver.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Where's he going?
Why is that? I don't understand.
Well, okay, let me hang on. From what I'm hearing, this central bank, they're planning on destroying the economy to have an excuse to establish their cryptocurrencies. And what I'm hearing is that's likely to come this next year. And so what do you do with your money? First of all, if you have small money, buy whatever you want, because the supply chains are being destroyed. You may not be able to get it later.
Like, for example, what are you referring to? What type of things?
A car,
Asset.
Okay.
something like that, or furniture, whatever you need. If you have big money, land and cow, right? And so, of course, the demons are always planning on, they're always trying to figure out how they're going to own everything. And, maybe you've seen the little advertisement from World Economic Forum.
Klaus Schwab, you will have nothing and you'll be happy.
Right.
But it sounds like a sannyasi. Sounds like a sannyasi. Sannyasi has nothing and he's happy.
Everybody will be in, have cheap prema by then.
Cheap prema.
Yeah, they'll have gotten to prema.
Cheap, not cheap.
Okay.
Achieved.
Achieved.
So,
Okay.
Anyway, there's no future in money. My advice is, in what we should practice, my spiritual economics conclusion is that Krishna is advising us to practice a gift economy in devotional service, just like we did in the early days of our movement, right? Nobody got any money. We just got money. We gave it all to the temple, and we got whatever we needed. So live like that. But what we should do is figure out what we want to give in a gift economy and make it our focus.
What is a gift economy, please?
A gift economy is like a family.
Okay.
Parents and children, they're not buying and selling, right? They're sharing.
Right.
Wow.
So, huh?
She said,
It's
wow.
beautiful concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful concept. Never heard it.
Well, in my spiritual economics book, I give examples of this. I call it the economics of goodness. And if we go back to the indigenous cultures of the world, almost all of them, at least all the ones that I researched, they all practice the gift economy. This is before the conquistadors came, right? The demonic Europeans came and conquered them. So in Hawaii, in South America, in Europe, all over the world, there was no money, and people, their whole focus was giving to each other. So this is the economics of Sattva Gun. There's a wonderful video by Helena Norberg Hodge. She wrote a book called The Economics of Happiness, but she has a video called Learning from Ladakh, which was about how the Ladakis, prior to the advent of Westerners in their country, they had a subsistence culture and they were all happy.
Excuse me, learning from Ladakh?
Ladakh,
Right.
near Tibet. It's in up, in the high.
Ledak.
Ladakh is near, it's north of Kashmir.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
But so the Ladakis, before the Westerners came, they didn't have money. They were just, they had a subsistence culture, economy, and they all took care of each other and lived from the land. When the Westerners came, then especially the young people, they see all the, the Rajagun comes in, right? So they want all these things. They want blue jeans and sunglasses and radios. And so this is Rajagun. And then what happens is people are no longer satisfied and they feel themselves poor because they don't have as much as somebody else has.
Right.
So this is, the point I'm writing about in my book is that, the demons have created this economy to serve their purposes, and we're all trying to figure out how to make the best of it or how to take advantage of it. And consequently, we don't get any satisfaction, right? There's no solution to the economic problem in Rajagun because you're never satisfied. I want more, I want more, I want more. And there's certainly no solution to the economic problem in Tamagun because you're just taking and exploiting other people. So if we actually want to be satisfied with what we have and be happy, we have to come to Sattva Gun.
Right.
Again, with the bull and the cow, right? Not exploiting them, just keeping them as family members, taking care of them, and practice a gift economy or even a subsistence economy. And we can then be in sattva gun and have satisfaction and genuine happiness.
What's the difference between a gift economy and a subsistence economy?
Well, a subsistence economy would have some kind of exchange.
Barter.
Where a subsistence economy means you produce for your own needs. There's no market economy. There's no market. You don't go buy solutions in the marketplace. You produce what you need, and whatever you can produce, you exchange with others for that. Okay, so that's a type of economy. But in that economy also, it's impossible to get to Rajagun because there's no cash, there's no money, right? Money means you store up a wealth that's not going to be destroyed or rotten or eaten, right? And you can keep it for later and you can accumulate more and more and more. Well, if you have a subsistence economy and you're just producing rice, how much rice do you want? You only want what you can eat, right? Having more rice doesn't make any sense, right? So a subsistence economy is better, but even better than that is a gift economy where everybody's thinking, how am I going to take care of others, right?
Yeah.
We all have multiple gifts that we can give to others, but we focus on one thing we call a career, right? And we neglect all these other gifts, or let's say assets that we have, qualities that we have. But in a gift economy, you can teach something to somebody, you can grow some food and give that away. Everybody has many different skills that can be used in the service of others. And that's the focus, is serving others. And the best way is what? Serve Krishna, right? And then the result of that, what you give to Krishna is distributed as prasadam. So if you're a furniture maker, you make furniture, you offer it to Krishna in the temple, and then distribute it as Krishna prasadam. If you make clothes, you make them, offer them to Krishna, then distribute it as Krishna prasadam. Krishna prasadam is not just food stuff. Everything can become Krishna prasad.
So Nichalila, I don't know if your question was answered. She asked, cow is currency. Shed light on this, please.
What?
She said cow is a form of currency. Could you please shed some light on that?
Yeah. Well, this is the demons. They try to think of everything in terms of money. So, there's in some, let's say, Kali Yuga civilizations, cows were considered, it's something that you can trade. So you can trade a cow, right? And so a cow would have a particular value. So they would think of cows, and it's as demonic economists today, they try to interpret everything according to their understanding of economics, which is wrong, right? It didn't work like that. People, they would have animals, right? Cows, they multiply, and you could trade your cow for other things that you need. So it worked like that, but it wasn't, cow was a currency, right? Because they always say, oh, well, how do you divide up a cow? You can't do that, so therefore money is better. That's the wrong idea. Cow's not money. Cow is a cow and has value. And then when you need something, you can exchange your cow for value of some other kind. Okay?
Yeah. Yes.
One thought I had is, so Srila Prabhupada said, or Bhaktisiddhanta said to Srila Prabhupada, if you ever get money, print books.
He said, spend it immediately. Krishna is not a poor man. He'll supply more.
Right. So what's your personal opinion, knowing what you know about economics? Do you think buying gold, buying silver, buying crypto, that this is not something a devotee should be considering?
My opinion is crypto is gambling.
Okay.
And because the prices fluctuates wildly. And And of course, the idea is it's going to become more valuable, but we don't know that. You know, we've seen Bitcoin goes up and down. Gold and silver, they have sustained value in time. However, the price of gold and silver has been manipulated for at least the last 40 years. So it does not reflect its actual value in the marketplace. If gold were allowed to freely exchange silver, if silver were allowed to freely exchange, it would be worth about $600 an ounce right now. But they manipulate it, they control the price.
$24 an ounce now, I think.
Yeah, anyway, like that in the 20s. So it's good as a hedge against uncertain times. Okay. So, you know, but better is, I mean, you know, our whole brain is distorted by modern economics, trying to figure out, you know, how do I get ahead? How do I save? How do I profit? It's just, you know, it's distorted everything. And, you know, better if money just goes away. We'll all be, I can solve all the economic problems immediately. How? By eliminating money. All the economic problems would be solved. We would have to then start producing what we need, right? And all these useless people who are bankers, lawyers, you know, cashiers and everything, they could do something useful instead of counting money all the time or thinking about money.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's, you know, it's money is created by demons for increasing their sense of I and mine. It's a demonic thing, right? It's not for a sane culture. It's demonic. But, you know, we don't know that because we're born and conditioned by this culture that we grow up in, and we just think, oh, it's a normal thing. You know, of course you have money. How do you live without money, right? Because we don't think, we don't understand. Here's another point. Money destroys our relationships with each other. Money destroys varnashram dharma, okay? Because if I have money, I don't need you. And if you have money, you don't need me, right? So that destroys varnashram dharma. The other thing is money is impersonal. And because it's impersonal, it destroys our relationships. Our relationships also become impersonal. Modern society is organized with money. And how? I buy your labor. I don't have a, you know, interest in you as a person. I want your labor. So I'm going to hire you. I'm going to give you some money. It appears like I'm doing something nice for you, but I'm trying to take advantage of you, right? And in our relationships, we cannot come close. I'll give you an example. In Lithuania one time, in the community of, there's a village community of devotees, and they were scattered around about 5 miles. And they would come together for a Sunday feast once a week, and they'd have kirtan and read, you know, shastra and so on, and have a feast. And they asked me, they said, but we don't feel very close. You know, what do we do? How do we become closer? I said, well, if you want to be closer, you have to combine your interests. So take all of your money, everybody, all the money you get, put it in one bank account, and you all work out of that one bank account.
But some people will say they want more money than others, right?
Yeah. Well, some people need more money than others, but the point is they couldn't go that far, right? So I said, okay, well, plant and harvest together. You do so. You have to combine your interests, like the Pandavas. They combined their interests so much so that when Yudhishthira gambled away the kingdom, everybody else didn't say a word, right? Because they're tight. You couldn't separate them, right? You can't have freedom and you can't have freedom and security both. You give up freedom so that you can have security, like in a relationship, right? You give up your right to go dating other women. You stick to this one woman because you want the emotional security of that relationship.
Right.
So that applies in every kind of relationship. You can't have freedom and security. In our modern society, we're indoctrinated with this idea, I'm the rugged individual, I'm the self-made man, I don't depend on anybody, I'm free, right?
Stoicism.
So everybody wants freedom.
Stoicism.
Everybody wants freedom, but they don't have any security.
Yeah.
So this is the problem with money. Money destroys the finer things of life that we really want, right? But we don't understand that because we're focused on the goodies that we're going to get.
Krishna Chandra gives a quote. The Stylistics, a classic soul group, had a song that went like this: but if I had $1 million, baby, I don't need you. It illustrates that point that if we have money, we don't need others.
Yeah.
So very illusory.
Oh yeah, that's why it's created by demons, right? Because they're in this illusion. They're completely bewildered by Maya, right? I want more. I and mine, increasing I and mine.
So much is mine today, and I'll have so much more tomorrow.
Now, Krishna, what does Krishna tell us in Bhagavad Gita? He says, you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you're not entitled to the results of your activities.
Yeah.
So when I give that lecture, I ask, okay, how many have a job? The hands go up. And what do you work for? Oh, to take care of my family. No. What do you work for? You work for money, right? But Krishna says the results of your activities don't belong to you. I was in a class one time, one devotee said, I don't think we can follow that instruction today. As if Krishna's instructions of Bhagavad Gita are, applicable in one time and not in another time. No,
we don't have leaders that are explaining this.
Right. Well, I'm trying to.
Yeah. Excuse me. I don't mean to offend you. You are one such leader. 10 years ago, I took the 4-season permaculture design course because I thought Prabhupada said 50%. His only regret, he said this to, I believe it was Abhiram Prabhu when he was in England. My only regret is that 50% of my mission that I established book distribution, but the other 50% establishing Daiva Varnashram sustainable communities was not accomplished. And Abhiram asked Prabhupada, so how will you do this? And he said, when we go to Gita Nagari, unfortunately Prabhupada could not, he had to go back to Vrindavan to depart. He said, I will go to Gita Nagari with you. I will sit down with you and I will teach you everything I know about how to live off the land. So I thought, well, gee, I'm not seeing any courses that I know of in ISKCON. Like I've been hearing, and some people even say, we don't need Varnashram. Varnashram is not Bhakti, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought, well, I want to find out what does it mean to be sustainable. So I didn't have the $1,400 for the permaculture design course. I just had $400. And I worked off the rest, 2 days a week, 8 hours a day. I went on a 50-acre plot. It's called the Living Center near St. Thomas, Ontario. And Shantri Kasera and his wife Lorena were running that place. 25 acres of pure wild cherry tree forest, and another 25 acres where I learned to prune 45 pear trees and apple trees and learned how to make berms and hugelkultures. Anyway, what's it I'm trying to say? Yeah. So they introduced me to a group called In Transition. And they had 2 movies, Transition 1.0 and Transition 2.0. You watch this movie, and I learned about Rob Hopkins, permaculture design teacher out of Totnes, England, where Sripati currently lives, the east coast of England. And he called a town's meeting of amongst 4,000 people. 500 people showed up to discuss, with the way that peak oil is going, that it's going to run out eventually, what's our plan to live off the grid, where we're not depending on an economy based on the production of oil. And what they decided to do was, I guess you would call this a gift economy or sustainable. They created a time bank where I give you an hour of my time, you give me an hour of your time. and it's an exchange of time. And they were doing it digitally. One lady went to get her watch fixed, and the guy said, well, actually, I owe so much to this other person, and since you're a music teacher or whatever, then you go and teach music to this one, and I'll fix your watch for you. And I thought it was very fascinating, and I thought it was the future, because as you said, the future of like Prabhupada said, these cities will not last much longer because their economy is not based upon the local production of food. Well,
I met the fellow who created Time Bank.
Oh,
and he was very interested in my book because he was saying there's some spiritual element about this time bank thing, and he said, I can't quite figure it out, because when people are down and out, they're very happy to participate in the time bank. But when they get well off, they lose their interest and we don't see them anymore. Right? Because why? Because we're living in Rajagun, in the city, right?
Yeah.
And Rajagun, that's what it's about. We have to understand money destroys sattva. This is a problem in our farms. We don't understand our philosophy. We can't go to the farms and still, our farms, they've been ruined by money, right? New Vrindavan, they had hundreds and thousands of dollars, right?
Millions.
Like that money, millions, right? Gitanagari, they had millions. They were making $1 million a year, but they didn't understand that they needed to use a thorn to take out a thorn to get rid of money.
Right.
To become independent of it. So it's my fault. I'm not doing my preaching sufficiently, I guess, because, this point isn't understood widely. When I went
to Mayapur a few years ago, I spoke to one of the Bengali managers there. I said, well, Prabhu, it's so wonderful to be here in the world headquarters of ISKCON. I'm wondering if by now we're growing enough of our own vegetables here on the land to feed all the devotees. He said, oh, no, Prabhu, you can go to Kolkata and you can get everything much cheaper by doing that instead of having brahmacharis growing vegetables. And I thought, what is his guru teaching him? Like, what is he not understanding? I was thinking, and what is the quality of those vegetables in the Kolkata market? How many chemicals? Is it GMO? Like he go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Well, you must know Samba, who was there for many years, and he was trying to get them to increase, food production, and there was resistance from the management.
Wow. Just see when the COVID thing hit and they no longer could depend on the tourist trade, they were begging for donations. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, if you're growing your own food, you don't have to be begging.
How about thinking ahead? Because they've created a whole thing that's dependent on money. It's like New Vrindavan now, right? They're in business. It's a business. It's not, and there's no thinking beyond that, unfortunately.
Can you join us again on Wednesday for part 2?
Sure.
And so we're going to move into a new pastime. What's the title? It's about Kamsa. Is it Kamsa?
Kamsa sends Akrura.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kamsa sends Akrura. To what? To give a message? Is it?
No, to take this Balaram and Krishna for a wrestling fight.
Yeah, so that'll be a very exciting chapter to read. Nanda Patni, any comments from you from all the sagacious words that our dear godbrother Dhaesvara Prabhu's been sharing?
I'm familiar with most of the subject matter he's talking about. I wondered if you knew Genevieve Vaughan, her book, The Gift Economy.
What's her name?
Genevieve Vaughan. She's a big advocate of this about 10 years ago, along with Rob Hopkins in the peak oil movement.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah.
Transition Town.
Right.
Shares.
Yeah, that was in the UK, right? Transition
Well, it
Town.
was worldwide. Transition Town started in Cornwall, in Devon, but It's all over America. Transition Town, USA is very big.
Right.
And, you know, there are pockets of people all over the world engaging in these things. The other person who's very big on this is Paul Hawken.
Who?
Paul Hawken.
Oh, yeah.
And he wrote the economic ecology or something like that. And he gives a kind of optimism about all these small groups all over the world in the face of all the behemoth corporations and governments and everything, but all the small people in the world that are just kind of quietly getting on with it, you know, in their own pockets. Of course, it's not, you know, it's not Varnashram Dham, but we're looking at, you know, patterns or projects that we can point to or engage or et cetera, or even learn from, actually. Yeah.
Any questions from you, Nityalila, Krishna Chandra, Sikarani, Shuddha Sindhu for
I have a short
yes, please.
A short question to Dhaesvara Prabhu. So in this case that you know that they are going to establish this digital currency, I mean cashless society. So we as a devotee, how do we prepare ourselves? For example, let's say like a digital currency or cashless society, we don't use cash anymore. I mean, we have to always have this handphone with us, just like China, we need the apps to pay and everything. So in Malaysia, they have announced actually by next year, they will start with all the government departments. You cannot use cash anymore. You have to use apps. They announced it already. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the problem here is that they want to get to absolute control. And that's why they want to have a cryptocurrency. It's not technically a digital currency. We have digital currency now. But this cryptocurrency, they'll be able to track every transaction. And in order to be able to get money, you're going to have to toe the line. That means take the jab. That means, you know, keep an eye on your social credit score, et cetera, et cetera. So this is, it's going to be a watershed event in terms of where people are going to go. Those people that
Excuse me, Prabhu, excuse me. What does a watershed event mean?
Means you have to go this way or that way. Watershed.
You're kind of forced.
You're forced, right?
Oh.
You're going to have to take the jab and, you know, just do what the government demands of you or not. And if you don't, then you're going to have another way to maintain yourself.
Right.
Okay. So this is what I was talking about last week, right? To create these, basically a Varnashram college to train people how to live on the land.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, get ready. It's going to be, the demons, they are going for absolute control. They're pulling out all the stops. They're going for it. And it's going to be challenging for people who do not have an alternative way to maintain themselves. Either you're just going to have to give in, just like in Israel now, right? If you want to go in the grocery store, you have to get the jab. So,
what time is your movie done? Question.
what's that? Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, anyway, I'm finished. I don't know if does that answer your question or?
Yeah, but I don't want to take the jab. So yeah, I know what's coming. I've been kept reading about this, and people say that it's a conspiracy theory, but anyway, it's not a conspiracy theory.
Not theory. There's no theory about it. It's just
it's coming.
facts.
It's a fact, but most people still don't accept this fact. So I was also worried that I don't want to take the jab because something is in the jab that will track you when you use their cryptocurrency. If you don't take the jab, they cannot track you of your transaction, like you say. So we as a devotee, how do we get help from Lord Sri Krishna?
we have to, well,
But we
we
cannot
have to,
escape. We have to take a jab.
we have to find like-minded people
Yeah.
to, you know, it comes back to this subsistence economy, right? We have security in each other. I take care of you, you take care of me, right? It's just like a family, right? You know, a family, they got each other, right? So, you know, when, you know, you got to start growing food somehow or get some access to, you know, with somebody that grows food. I'm trying to do it, you know, I'm making this plan so that, you know, we can train people to live on the land. I'm having a hard time getting any traction amongst the devotees, unfortunately.
We're running out of time.
Okay.
No. I mean, we're running out of time
Oh,
to get
that
this
way,
in
yeah.
place.
I think we don't have time to get the land and live on the land. I think we don't have that time. It's not easy
No,
to get land. We
so-
can't do that.
You know, we have to find others that are nearby that we can come together with. Now, you're a devotee, you have something to give to help them understand what's going on. Most people, the big problem with all this is because it's worldview. People, they think, there's people who are taking the jab, they think this world is a nice place where I can enjoy and we'll go along to get along and everybody's trying and the government is my friend. Okay, but the Bhagavad Gita doesn't tell us that. The Bhagavad Gita tell us that the demons are running this world. They're running it for their pleasure and satisfaction and to exploit us as much as possible. Then if you understand and accept that worldview, then you're going, there's a good reason why I don't trust the government and I'm not going to take their jab. Okay, then what? We have to create an alternative, which is what Prabhupada wanted us to do. He's asking us to do that 50 years ago.
Right.
Still not done.
And we should not depend upon the leadership of ISKCON to do that for us.
Exactly. In my second book, Divine or Demonic Spiritual Movements and the Enemies Within, that's the conclusion, or let's say one of my theses is that the powers that be infiltrated ISKCON specifically for the purpose of quashing a rebellious movement that was going to overturn society and show people another way to live. And this is why in ISKCON, the leadership, they don't even want to hear the word Varnashram Dharma. So this is another, you know, red pill that we have to take to understand what's going on in this world. Sorry.
And I think I can speak for Dhaesvara Prabhu and myself. We are great lovers of our ISKCON. We gave over 45 years of our life to ISKCON. We want to see ISKCON prosper and grow, but not everyone in ISKCON has the same conception of what it means to prosper and grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
We're still in the material world. Even ISKCON, as wonderful as it is, we're in the material world. And there's a lot of dramas being played out, right? The leadership is encouraging the devotees to take the jab, for God's sake. Why? You know?
Because Ajay Perimal said so, and he donates liberally to our ISKCON projects, and he makes the jabs himself.
If that were the reason, that would be the most benign reason. I'm afraid it's much worse.
Okay. I'm just the tip of the iceberg. Any Shikarani, you're a university graduate. Any good and thoughtful questions from you from Dhaesvara Prabhu? Any reflections? What you're hearing? Does it make you feel insecure?
Yeah, like at my job place, at my university, everywhere it's kind of mandated. And people are telling even the booster will be mandated soon.
Shikarani is an RIT graduate where Yadubar and Vishaka graduated from Dhaesvara Prabhu. She's in Rochester, New York.
Oh, okay. Rochester, okay. RIT means Rochester Institute of Technology?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
And
Uh-huh.
I think I can connect a lot with what Prabhu you are telling, because especially in my generation, if I meet anybody, if I like even go for, like, I rarely meet people because most of them, like, I don't feel I can connect with them because of how they are materialistically involved. But even though on festivals, Diwali or anytime I meet, all they are talking about is just cryptocurrency and stocks and shares, because they have just started earning and they are going crazy. And yesterday I was seeing news and I saw that a Indian man did suicide because he lost all his money in
Wow.
cryptocurrency.
Wow.
Yes,
It is gambling.
it is gambling. And even like, so for my current company, they offer me 401k, which is like a retirement saving plan where they invest on our behalf. But so I have been working for 1.5 years, but till now I have not even logged in and saw what they are investing. So there's an option where you can select like moderate, and so basically you can select whatever, like you want to be aggressive or moderate or whatever. So I just set them moderate while registering, but for 1.5 years I have never opened and saw it, although a lot of ISKCON devotees actually invest a lot of time in that as well. But I never got into that argument whether I consider it a gambling or
Excuse
not.
me for interrupting you. Nitya, are you still there? Nitya.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
am
she's got to
just.
go. I'm sorry for interrupting you. I'm really sorry, Sikarani, but Nitya has to go. Do you have a final question or comment for Daneshwar before you go?
No, I was
Yeah,
just
I mean,
thinking, like,
yeah.
so
Yeah,
Nikhil,
Shikha Rani can continue. Yeah, Shikha Rani can continue. I'm about to leave, but yes, there are certain questions in my mind related to current situation and how we can cope up with certain models, which we request to have guidance in next session if it is possible for Daneshwar Prabhu, because his insights, his guidance is really essential for us.
It's very relevant and it's
Yeah,
vital.
yeah,
It's the need
yes,
of the day.
exactly.
It's not
But,
theoretical knowledge.
it's a question of, look, if we want to go into the spiritual age, the coming golden age of Lord Chaitanya, right? There needs to be a spiritual culture. Who's going to create that? We have to create that. But if we're so invested in the demonic culture that we're living in now, we can't even think about how we're going to create this spiritual culture. We have to let this go, depend on Krishna. Krishna is real. He's there. He's the maintainer of everyone, right? And we have to think about how do we go forward. Depending on Krishna, he will maintain us, and have full faith in that. And it will happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice to see you. Thank you for your association.
Thanks very
See you
much.
Wednesday or Thursday, your time, Nichilila.
Yeah, thanks very much again. Yeah, really eye-opening session.
It's very important for you to hear continually from Daneshwar to help save Pakistan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And global economy as well.
Sorry?
Global economy as well.
Global economy, yes. Yeah. No, we're fortunate to have his association.
Yeah.
We can learn much from him.
Very good.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Thank
we'll
you.
see you in a couple of days. Thank you so much for coming. Anything else from Sikarani? Please forgive me. I didn't mean to interrupt. It's just that Nichilila was leaving. Do you want to finish your point?
I was just telling that recently I spoke to some ISKCON devotees also, and they were like, they are workers full time in Rochester area, and they were like, they actually spend time in selecting their own stocks and shares in 401k. So I don't know, sometimes it's kind of like a thin line where you actually cannot say that this is gambling as per them, but I considered it as gambling and never involved myself in that, because I know I don't
Smart
want to
woman.
invest my energy in that, basically.
Yeah. The problem is we're conditioned souls. We grow up in this culture. It just seems normal to us, and we have to function. Everybody needs money. We can't do without it. So naturally, we want to maximize that. But, coming to Krishna consciousness, it's not going to happen immediately. Young devotees, they can't begin to think like this, but I've been doing this for 50 years. So, and Krishna inspired me with this concept of spiritual economics, back in 1988. So I've been thinking about it since then. And, we have to, there's nobody else that's going to be able to create this coming spiritual culture of Lord Chaitanya. We have to do that. And so we have to understand what is a spiritual culture. In my Vyasa Puja offering to Srila Prabhupada this year, I glorified him for his being a social revolutionary, for his speaking against and destroying the social establishments of the demons. And one of those is institutions. The demons have created the institution. In fact, this is the problem with the whole COVID thing. It's not the COVID, it's not the vaccine, it's not anything like that. The real problem is the institutions that I'm speaking too loud.
Okay.
My neighbor upstairs is calling me saying, shut up. I'm getting fired up. It's fun.
Good.
Anyway, so the institutions are the problem, right? Because one person on top, they control everybody else.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, we live in a demonic culture. We have to understand the spiritual culture is different. Excuse me 1 second, let me come. I'm sorry, I know I'm being too loud. There you go. Okay. So somebody else talk now. I better shut up. I'm in trouble with my roommate.
Actually, sorry to bring things down to the mundane level here, but I was having a talk with a person today who is an entrepreneur and into holistic healing. And she told me to check out something called Newton.co. And she said this was a sure thing because it was based on XRP and XLM, and best to buy something now because this is a gift and it's going to go way up really quick. And I don't know this world. I don't know anything about the financial world at all.
Stay out of it then.
That's what I'm telling. I am a youngster. I started earning. Still, I'm not investing even $1 in that. So you should take that lesson. I don't think. See, whatever is easy money is never a permanent thing. Hard-earned money, I feel that is a permanent thing which we should go for. That's what
I say. If you want to invest, you invest in yourself. Develop some skills, some abilities that you can use to give to others.
Yeah, so much uncertainty right now. So much.
Yeah.
Yet our philosophy,
from that point of view, that Krishna would never want you to earn without doing the karma, right? So there is the answer.
But I'm not trying to be the devil. Well, maybe I'm trying to be the devil's advocate here. I'll throw this out at Dhaesvara Prabhu. Shyam-Sundar Prabhu, as you know, and Srila Prabhupada were in Switzerland, and they were staying, I think, in some hotel or something. And there was this, I don't know if it was gold or some kind of stock.
No, he took them to the stock exchange.
Okay.
Oh, another Prabhu is here. Hare Krishna.
Mahabuddhi is here. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Obeisances to you, Mahabuddhi Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Dandavats. I love my class got over. My class.
Nice surprise. So yes. So Srila Prabhupada and then Shyam-Sundar were watching the ticker tape or whatever, like listing the gold. What are the shares or whatever they call it?
The stock prices.
Right. And then Prabhupada said at one point, okay, now we should pull out. So it almost seems like a precedent for gambling, but allegedly it wasn't.
No, Shyam-Sundar took them there with the idea, trying to convince them, we can make money for Krishna. And, Prabhupada watched it with some amusement for a while, and they said, okay, let's go. He wasn't impressed, with the idea that, we're going to make a lot of money for Krishna here.
But they did make something.
I don't remember that part.
Mahabuddhi, just to refresh you, Prabhu, Daneshwar Prabhu has been enlightening us with spiritual economics and, all the uncertainty that we're experiencing at this time. And he's been talking about the gift economy. So what did you call it? The sustained economy?
Subsistence.
Subsistence economy. Yeah, because we're hearing that money is not going to be worth anything in a couple of years.
Mahabuddhi knows more about this than me. He's a successful man in this world. I'm not.
So Krishna has sent him just at the right time to continue.
What?
Please enlighten us, Mahabuddhi Prabhu.
He's
I think he
mute.
forgot his
Yeah, you have to unmute.
Oh, he's
Sorry,
on mute.
Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have
Now
been
you-
reading. We had
Thank
been
you.
reading.
Yes.
We had been reading from Srila Shridhar Maharaj, and he was making these points. He was saying, excuse me, I'll just find the quote here if I can find it. What was it? Let me. I'm just scrolling back up in the Bhagavatam. Okay, here it is. Yeah, all right. Don't identify yourself fully with a particular plan. If any hindrance comes to you, you will be fully entangled. If you are not addicted to a particular plan, then there is no chance of being excited. Artha narte kshaya lobam. If you have so much greed for money, if you have to discriminate. What is the charm of money? Whatever you can construct, that automatically vanishes in course of time. So what is the charm of money? Bayam tadva bamar shanat. And if you have any fear or apprehension, then you have to discriminate. So many things are combined: matter, water, earth, come and stay for some time and then disappears. Birth and death. In the course of time is coming and going everywhere. Every second something is born. Every second something is dying. Calculating in this way. So yeah, he's basically talking about the transitory nature of people's attachment to money. And so I was thinking, well, right now we're just hearing that soon paper money will not be worth anything. And Prabhupada told us so many years ago that we should already be taking the steps, and we haven't been doing this. So you want to formulate what we were just, do you want to summarize what we were just saying, Daneshwar Prabhu, and present that to Mahabuddhi? Or do you think I covered it?
I think you covered it.
Okay.
I was all over the place. So
Purport by Mahabuddhi Prabhu. Mahabuddhi Vacha.
I mean, this brings up all of our current feelings where, what we're seeing right now is Kali Yuga being manifested, trying to manifest by all these demons in such a way that their idea is it's a real spiritual war right now, because the living entity who believes in the Supreme Lord, or even if their concept of God is not to the level of the Vaishnavas, but at least they have some concept of a supreme being. They have faith and even more of almost even a pantheistic conception. They all become the enemies of this current civilization. And this current civilization really wants to, as you see, they're buying up all the land, they're buying up all the water rights, they're stopping the transportation of goods. So they're creating a food shortage. They're ultimately making everyone dependent upon, trying to make it dependent on the government, that they're forcing everyone to, by handing out so much money and stuff like that. A lot of people aren't going to work. So economies are being ruined. So what their idea is to break out the monetary thing, bring it into a world digital economy, and get rid of all cash, and then everything will be digitalized. People will live off of subsidiary, whatever they want to give you. And then because of all the social and facial things, they'll be able to tell you if your social courting, which basically means if you don't agree with what it is, they can, all of your finances, all of everything motivated in your body by the stuff they're giving to you. So it really makes, what they're doing right now is try to eliminate everyone's so-called human rights, remove people into transhumanism, bankrupt the economy to make it just to the level of everyone becomes dependent upon this global so-called economy with digital currency. With the digital currency, they decide for you what you're going to get, and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. So this is the real battle. Is this becomes impersonal? It's the impersonalism, the development of technocracy and large corporates, and they'll become, they'll just be basically slaves, and then there'll be no middle class and no basically independence. This is their desire. They've been writing about this for years, for 30, 40 years. Their goals are, out there to read, but people, have been like this mass hysteria. They get bombarded so much with so-called lies so often that they, even if told the truth, they can't focus on it. They can't see it. So it becomes a chance now for waking up people as much as you can. And as we know, in our Gaudiya Sampradaya, there are two of our most recent acharyas said 70 to 75% of the world's population will become, killed during this next short coming of stuff. And of course, we're seeing, as you have been stated, and so often all these COVID ridiculous, scamdemics and the poisoning that's happening to the people. So this is all playing into this rolling out one thing after another, this so-called idea of New World Order. So it's really a battle. Either those who have, kept critically thinking and can wake up and depend on spiritual context to be, become better devotees and surrender to Krishna, and also at the same time realize that we're in a battle. It's not like, oh, this is just happening to Australia, or this is just happening to Austria. It's now happening to Canada. It's happening to all these places. And it's just around the background. The only reason why it's not fully implemented in America is two reasons. One, America's historically a very independent, challenging place. And plus, America's loaded with guns. And so they tried in years previously to de-arm the American people. It didn't work out so well. So they, they'll know, people will revolt, and so they're also planning on that, to bring in, call martial law, and then bring in the Chinese, who will be a UN force, to try to put it out. So all these things you can read in a book. It's just like, well, Mahabuddhi, where are you getting all this stuff? Well, it's their stuff. They've already printed all this stuff. It's just a question of reading it, and then you see they're actually, trying to follow their game plan. But it's interesting because they published everything. It's not like you have to guess anything. They just follow right down the platform. But we're like, like lemmings. And even though we hear all this stuff, people don't believe it. And so this mass hysteria is getting to the point where it's almost like the Germans during Nazi time, when they couldn't understand what was being done because of the constant lying, where you tell a lie long enough, it becomes the truth. And then people can't hear anymore. They don't have the discriminating intelligence at that point in time, and critical thinking, to be able to determine what's truth versus what's fiction. And therefore you have atrocities across the world. It's already happening already. So that's a short synopsis.
So where are you going personally, or what's your vision? I'm assuming thank you for that. I'm assuming that you want to be close to devotees that want to grow food, for example.
Well, I'm in a place that Prabhupada, close to a place where Prabhupada designated as a place that should be doing that. And of course, there's a few devotees that are excellent at doing that. But, the other Sangha, which is, decided that, for us that we're not part of, they decided that we're not part of. But anyway, the difference is they're not doing what they should be doing. So they have all these people there that, has to go down to Walmart or Kroger and stuff and buy their food. And when everything becomes scarce, there's nothing been saved because they haven't farmed it. Although there's hundreds and hundreds of acres worth farming, they're not doing it, doing very small scale.
Lack of leadership, lack of vision.
It's people rob the place, blind. Their lack of leadership, vision, stealing, personal profit, all the different things. It's very hard to, some of the devotees say they don't even know if the deities are still there because so much misuse. But nevertheless, people will come here by the thousands at some point. And I think, management will change when it becomes too big for them to handle and they don't know how to do stuff and everyone's separated. And a so-called international leadership will be forced to have local leadership. And then if you don't have the local skill sets to manage, what to speak of a temple, what to speak of many, many thousands of people, then the management will change by necessity. So
Shuddha Sindhu and Shikarani, do you have any thoughts or questions for Mahabuddhi Prabhu or Dhaesvara? Do you have something else you'd like to contribute to the dialogue? Any of you?
Come on, Dhaesvara is the author of, a lot of revolutionary thinking.
Very good, Prabhu. Nice to see you. Long time.
None of us. I'm always encouraged to hear your writings and stuff. I don't think they'll be greatly appreciated until probably after you're dead or something. That's usually how things happen.
Well,
That's not very
I've got some new writing. You should ask Tapa Punj for it.
Oh, you can send it to me. I mean, Tapa Punj, he may have sent it. I don't know, but you can also send it to me.
I'll put your address in the chat box, and I'll be happy to.
Well, you can send it to me. Email. It's much better. It's just spell
email. How? What?
Mahabuddhi.
Oh,
Mahabuddhi at Gmail. Yeah.
What else would it be?
And here's mine, Dhaesvara Prabhu, Gora_ACBSP@yahoo.com, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, I remember from last week, I'm going to send it to everybody, the whole list from last week.
Thank you.
I haven't gotten around to that yet.
Yeah.
But Mahabuddhi, what I'm working on is this plan, how we're going to accommodate and what we're going to do with all these thousands of people that are going to come to our farms. I'm trying to create a plan for doing that, and I would like you to be integrally. I'd like you to be an integral part.
I just had a meeting I have to keep secret right now of a whole plan like that, which would be completely amazing if it actually can come true. So, but I mean, that's all I can say for this moment, but I encourage to work because we're trying to work with Tapa Punj and some of the other devotees.
Tapa Punj and Yudhisthira, yeah, I know about that. I'm trying to weasel my way into that.
I'm talking even bigger than that. That's,
Good.
Yeah.
We need bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea, but it's not vetted out completely yet. So if it's vetted out completely, then you'd be amazed at this point.
Chanakya Pandit said, do not reveal what it is you're going to do prematurely.
Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say anymore.
Shikarani, you have any other further thoughts, questions on what we're discussing? Shikarani is an IT specialist, graduate of Rochester Institute of Technology.
Wow. She could help put up our college, some of our college newsletter stuff and website stuff. That would be nice.
She's very talented.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And
Just
Sikarani is into
not
cows
great.
too. She's into cow seva.
Yeah.
Nice. Where are you located at?
So I am located in Rochester,
New
and
York.
yeah, I have not been able to go to the Vrindavan temple yet, but I kind of like every, I would say fortnightly. Like, so basically, what happened is, of course, my family, like I'm from a Brahmin family, so also because of that. But anyways, like my parents are very much into astrology, and even before I came into ISKCON and everything, like since childhood, I was very much kind of more affectionate and inclined towards Krishna, but only after kind of joining or trying to be a Vaishnava, and after 3 years of my journey, like I started at RIT Bhakti Yoga Club, and then I came in close association with the devotees. Recently, my mom was just consulting astrologer, and he was telling my mom that this girl was always, she was born to be a Vaishnava, and she should do a lot of cow seva. And I was telling my mom that I was actually wanting to do it for so long. Like I really wanted, I was asking everybody like if they know somebody who has that kind of uh, like cow
Compassion.
shelter, yeah, or like cow protection movement, like anything, a kind of NGO where I can contribute. But it took some time, but I was connected to the Vrindavan temple, and then I was connected to the devotee directly who takes care of the cows there. And luckily I am kind of contributing to it from past like 1 year now. So I am very happy about that, because it's so difficult in COVID. I also do not have a car, so I have not been so lucky to visit the cow shelter, but they always invite me that you are contributing, but you should come and see like what we are doing here.
Excuse me for interrupting. Shuddha Sindhu's about to leave. Shuddha Sindhu, you're in Malaysia at the Penang temple, is that correct?
Yeah, Penang. Todu.
And from what you told me on Janmashtami, the Pujari told you that because you have not taken dangerous injection, you are not welcome to worship Lord Krishna. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
Somebody
told me
actually
off. He
said
told
that?
me off.
They
He told
actually
me
told
off.
her that she was, pardon me, Shuddha Sindhu?
He told me off. He asked me to get out.
Yeah, Krishna.
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah, and he
God.
said I can never. I'm not allowed to enter anymore. So so sometimes I still go.
Krishna
Then
will
when
come to you. No,
Yeah, go
don't
down the
worry.
block.
Krishna will come to you.
Go down the block. Go down the block to the Gaudiya temple. They'll welcome you warmly. They don't have such crazy thoughts like that, you know.
There's a
I
Gaudiya
mean,
temple there? There's a Gaudiya temple in Penang?
yeah,
I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
yeah,
Mahabuddhi, no.
Huh?
yeah. There's several. There's many temples in Malaysia. There, I can probably get you some info, but many devotees have come like that because of crazy platforms where, I'm sorry, you know, they don't, instead of believing Prabhupada, if you're in ISKCON, you should listen to Prabhupada's, you know, and our Gaudiya philosophy, but instead they listen to these so-called, you know, Fauci's and all these crazy CDCs who have ulterior motives for what they're doing, you know, and that people are taking that as like authority, when, you know, the jab itself, you're lucky you didn't take the jab. You know, you'd be talking about shortening your lifespan or very shorted lifespan. But you know, now they're
sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
now they're taking where people, you know, they're closing a temple if someone has COVID. They're, you know, if they use ivermectin, you can get rid of COVID in a couple of days. You know, it's just, but it's the worst part is the actual jab itself. That's what's making things worse. So anyway, you're in good company. There's many thousands of devotees that believe like you do, and when the authorities tell you not to go, then just disobey them. If you did deity service, then you can do deity services home or go to another temple that's not so crazy.
You were coming, Shuddha Sindhu, you were coming to serve the elderly devotees on Janmashtami night. Is that correct?
It's true. Yeah, I'm actually buying some stuff for the elderly devotee, Chinese devotee. There are only a few Chinese devotee in the temple. not many of us, maybe 5 or 6 only. Then
And
he saw me and he asked me, have I taken any jab? I said, no, not even one jab. I said, no. Then he just said, then you cannot get into temple, you have to get out now.
wow.
But I didn't have any reaction. I just said I need to pass something to the elderly devotee, a Chinese elderly devotee. Yeah, of course, at that time I get very angry. Yeah.
Shuddha Sindhu has a son, and she showed me the heartbreaking photos of her little boy. How old is he now, Shuddha Sindhu?
Now he's 9 years old.
But when was it that he got vaccinated?
I think since born until about 2 years old.
Wow. And you showed me these pictures, and he had all these horrible, it looked like cuts all over him, right? His body became. Your voice is off. Your mic is off. Can't hear
From
you.
what?
It's just it's like bleeding and blister. It's just bleeding and blister all over.
What kind of vaccination was that?
I think like MMR, polio, and I forgot, about 11 or 12 shots.
At one
Oh,
time?
wow.
At one time?
Not one
Yeah,
time. About since born
They give
until
you
1.5
mumps and
years.
rubella.
Mm.
When they're young, they give you mumps, rubella, chicken pox, and polio
Yeah,
vaccines.
so yeah, all those vaccines. Yeah.
You should have seen the photo of
It's
her
not-
little boy, all like deformed, but you gave him a lot of detoxifying supplements, right? To
Yeah,
clean.
natural things.
So you
No
know
wonder
about
you don't trust the
you,
jab.
you know about the horrors of so-called vaccinations, and they weren't even mRNA, they were the so-called trusted ones, right?
Yeah. I
They
don't
were
believe
not,
in vaccine.
they're not
I
the
don't believe.
new, they were not the new novel mRNA
No,
spike.
it's,
Old
it's
school.
MMR,
Oh, okay.
measles, mumps, and rubella.
Uh-huh.
That's the MMR. They give that. They give the polio vaccine. They what else they give?
They have 52 of them now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
The trouble
they
is, like,
give
even the
chicken,
even
in
the flu
India they give
vaccines.
for tuberculosis, chicken pox, tetanus, influenza,
Yeah, they increase now.
Anyway,
Madness.
to be skeptical,
meningitis.
the
Go
flu
ahead.
vaccine now has a lot of poisons in it, like the COVID vaccine. So I wouldn't even take the flu vaccine. Any of these vaccines, you can get a religious exemption to not take them from an employer. At least in America, right now they stopped the mandate. They made it where you can't mandate employers over 100 with 100 employees. They can't mandate you have to take the vaccine because too much information has come out about the vaccine itself being, too many people have died from it, the information is being sheltered. We all know these things, but now it's starting to pop up. They're getting sued by about 25 different suits are coming in from all over the place. So the federal court have shot down the mandate, Biden's mandate, to where all employers have to do this. They can't do that right now. So gradually you'll see more and more people as the physicians, I just listened to Robert F. Kennedy on some of his things. They've got this new book on Fauci that they have out. At the end of that, if those people who actually read that stuff, they may further go up and, he may have to file a bunch of suits. The Indian government just filed a murder suit, in the Supreme Court, in the High Court of India on Bill Gates, and one of his colleagues that make the COVID vaccine in India for murdering this doctor and several other people, and they inculcated a lot of the officials in that too. So things are starting to fight back, but there's still a lot of tyranny going on. Australia, Austria, they're starting some of this stuff in Canada, Gore. So you have to watch out there.
Yeah.
So these are just, but you should know that the information is fighting it, because this vaccine, more and more people know how dangerous it is and how it actually is basically going to kill people. And so, that information is starting to come out. Before you couldn't get it, you have to go to certain sites, but now more and more people are hearing about it. They're becoming more distraught that these lockdowns are stopping their jobs and their economics, and now pretty soon your travel, you can't go unless you're double vaxxed, and pretty soon you won't be able to buy anything, unless these are all the hopes of just people in fear of getting this. And COVID itself has shown India government in Uttar Pradesh showed by the use of ivermectin and other vitamins, zinc, vitamin C, magnesium, a few other other things in there. They've actually met down 99% of all COVID in the state. And in that population, about 3/4, some say more, but at least 3/4 out of the total United States, and they've got like zero cases or less than 1% case of COVID, simply by using these alternative methods and differently. So, but here in the United States, you can't get this information. You can get it, but only from alternative websites. You can't get the information. They're not publishing what happened in India. They're not publishing the riots and the marches that are going on in Brazil and in France and in Australia and all these places. They're not marching the military states that have locked people in their homes and don't let them go out, only for essential shops. These things are not at all published in the United States. So this media is also going to be blackballed once they start handing out suits and stuff. They're also going to have to hand out these out to the media, because the media is suppressing freedom of information. Of course, all the rights in the Constitution that are now being in the United States that are now being trampled on, are all constitutional lawyers across the United States are also filing all these suits. And that's why the first one, the mandates stop, they can't stop you from going into a religious temple. All these things that they're doing is illegal. So, we should be seeing shortly, either there'll be a battle for this stuff, or we'll see like a revolution, civil war between different sides. They're trying to make it between race war, but ultimately it may, they're trying to make the haves and the have-nots. If you've got vaccinated versus if you didn't get vaccinated, and the not vaccinated becomes the new Jews of in Germany, becomes the new people that are making other people sick, all these crazy thoughts. So this is their hope. And this is where we have to be devotees, be very strong and preach against all this nonsense. But we have to critically understand ourselves.
Just last weekend, Facebook told me on Sunday, they told me, someone told me about the wonderful video that was made showing all the mass demonstrations going on around the world. So I was trying to open it up, and Facebook put up a message saying, "Are you planning on posting this?" And I unwittingly said, "Yes." And then immediately I got a message, "You're banned for 30 days. You cannot post it for breaking our community guidelines." And then yesterday, or today actually, I got another message from, because I belong to a group called the People's Party of Canada. They're the political party against the vax mandates. They're not liberals. They're not conservatives. They're not NDP. They're separate. And 2 weeks ago, I put up a comment that stated that Fauci and Gates should be tried and hung. And they wrote me back today, because I'm inciting violence, I'm banned for another 30 days. And I thought, these people are murdering people all over the planet. And because I'm saying they should be tried and hung, they banned me for another 30 days on Facebook. So that's 60 days I'm banned. So I know what you're saying. And I'm being constricted like a python, like Kalia was squishing Krishna.
You have to go to Gab.
Huh?
You have to go to Gab.
Go to Gab.
Gab is another platform.
Well, Telegram is a good one.
No limits. Telegram.
Yeah. I didn't know about Gab.
I was banned for more than 30 days.
Shraddha Sindhu, what is that?
Yeah, I was banned for more than 30 days.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, this is my 5th or 6th time. So yeah, so please don't lose heart, Shraddha Sindhu. We're with you fully. We don't think that ISKCON is representing Srila Prabhupada by saying that in order to get initiated, you must take the double, triple jabs. That's the new standard now. And if you want to take sannyas, you have to have 3 boosters. Sorry, I'm being sarcastic.
You're probably not too far off though from those guys, as they're making these relationships while they're taking millions of dollars in donations from people that are actually creating COVID, and so that's they got sold out by taking money. And so if they're taking money like that, it's like having a lobbyist. And if your big programs are all being sponsored by some rich person who's giving you money for stuff, then you're not going to say anything against it. So
it's a shame they don't know how to depend on Krishna in the same way.
Yeah, there's no faith. We saw this one sannyasi who's told his disciple who lived in a farm, you should just go to the farm, grab these people and just give them COVID. Yet he was showing how I need to be the first in line because they're all fear of death. And what we've got back, one of the things Prabhupada had said, that they should understand what's the difference, if you die and you should have been died 20 years later or something like that, everyone will have to die. They will have to give up this world, this temporary stuff. So the whole idea is, well, I don't want to give up this world where I'm getting all the Mahaprasadam and everyone's respecting me and they roll out the red carpet and they'll buy me, or else I'll buy myself my villa in Vrindavan or Mayapur. I can call and have my samadhi there afterward for $1 million.
Oh, something froze. Did everyone freeze?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I hear you fine. Yeah. Hey,
But,
listen, I want to learn from
okay.
you. How do you do the settings? Where do you go to put up the beautiful image?
Just on that, in the box where you put, where your login box, look up in the upper right corner, there's the settings.
On the right corner.
The little gear. Look for the little gear. It's there.
Okay. I'm in the top right corner.
Yeah, right above the clock. There's the clock, the display of the clock and date.
Yeah.
Yeah, just above
That's
that to the right, there's that little gear.
I don't see it. I'm sorry.
No, I don't see anything on the top either. Everything's on the bottom for me.
Let me give you a screen. I'll give you a screenshot.
Sounds like you're quite techie. You're a techie.
Oh wait, here. Let me share my screen. Let me do a share screen.
Okay.
Thank you.
I've got Zoom meeting view.
You got it disabled. You have it disabled. You have to.
How do I do that?
I don't know. You gotta let me share my screen, then I'll show you.
Stop live stream. No, what do I
I don't know. Somewhere the controls. You're the host, so you got to have controls somewhere.
I'm supposed to be the controller here. I can share the screen, but that's not what you want me to do.
I want you to give me permission to share.
Okay, so let me see. Maybe if I go here, right, spotlight, make host. I guess if I make you the host, right?
Okay.
Okay, I'm making you the host, changing host. All right, you're the host now.
Okay. Where is it? It doesn't show up. Sorry, doesn't show up.
You see, do you see Mahabuddhi Prabhu, the beautiful Kaliya image behind Dhaesvara? Do you see that?
No, I see you.
Oh. But you can see
He has
that.
to say something.
Anyway, look around for the little
gear.
It's in settings. But please excuse me, I have to go.
Okay, we're going to call it an evening. You both please come back so we can continue on.
Yeah. I very much look forward to it.
My obeisances to you both.
Nice to see you all.
Or send me to my email. Let me take a look at it.
What is your email? What is your email, Mahabuddhi Prabhu? Oh, I think I have it. Mahabuddhi@gmail.com.
Yeah,
Is that it?
simple.
Sorry?
Yeah, that's the only one I remember.
And what do you want me to do there? What do you want me to send you?
Send me the from the last class. You can send me the last one that was taped.
Oh, okay.
And then Dineshwar is going to send me his latest thing. So you
Okay,
can send
cool.
it direct. All right.
Okay.
Dandavat pranams,
All right, if you
everyone.
can't make it Wednesday, come Friday, but yeah. Okay,
It
super.
just depends if my class ended. It ended today at 9:30, so I didn't know if you guys would be on. So I just tried to
Normally
put
we're
on.
not, but Dinesh touched on such a relevant topic about where are we going and, how are we preparing?
Yeah, that's a great topic, and it's probably where everyone just looks and with their eyes wide open like deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are we supposed to do?
I don't want to be like
And
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that can be a good discussion at later as well. All the
Sure.
different things.
Sure. Okay.
That's one of the reasons.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I'm in West Virginia. I left Florida to come here. So
Right.
in Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're looking to the future.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Hari Bol.
Good night, sir. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.